Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Apologies for being late. We were handling the county's business, and I'm going to call the meeting to order, and we will start with introductions to my right with our clerks.
Good evening and welcome. My name is Arlissa Eason, the Deputy Clerk to the Board.
Good evening. I'm Madison Little, Senior Admin with the Clerk's Office.
Good evening. I am Mecklenburg County Commissioner Elaine Powell, representing North Mecklenburg, Huntersville, Davidson, Cornelius, and North Charlotte. District 1. Welcome.
Welcome. Good evening. My name is George Dunlap, and I'm elected by the people of District 3.
Good evening. My name is Lee Altman, County Commissioner serving at large, and I also have the privilege of serving as Vice Chair. Welcome to you all.
Good evening and welcome again. My name is Mark Jarrell. I've been elected by the people of District 4. Also have the honor of serving as Chair of the Board.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome. My name is Arthur Griffin. I have the pleasure of serving as County Commissioner at Large.
Good evening. My name is Vilma D. Leak, and I represent the most powerful district in the county, and that happens to be District 2. And I'm grateful that the people of District 2 have honored me to be their representative sitting at the stairs.
Good evening, I'm Laura Meyer, and I represent District 5.
Good evening, I'm Susan Rodriguez McDowell, and I'm elected by the people of District 6.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Mike Bryant, Mecklenburg County Manager.
Good evening, Tyrone Wade, County Attorney.
All right, that concludes our introductions. Tonight, our invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Commissioner Leak.
Did you say me?
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't hear you. My heart aches tonight. One of my good friends has gone to glory. And as I sit here tonight, I think about the very work that he started as a young man, as a student at A&T University. And as he lived and grew in South Carolina, right down the road from us here. And that happens to be Reverend Jesse L. Jackson, who was a companion and did a lot of work with my late husband. So I had a lot of contact with Jesse, we called him. And as I think about it, I think about this country today. And I think about our community today. Never thought I'd live to see it this way, with the things that's happening within the confines of our young people and the disrespect for our senior people and people being homeless and without. Never seen it this way. So the thing that fits my heart always as a Christian and as a woman of faith who lives and works in the community. For the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley in the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, that comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. For surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. And I will dwell in the house forever and ever. Amen. Amen. Let us stand, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Leak. As we start every meeting, we always review our board mission, our vision, and our priorities. These are the principles that guide us, that guide our discussion, that guide our meetings. So we think it's important to make sure that they're top of mind, not only for us, but for our community. Our mission is to serve Mecklenburg County residents by helping improve their lives and community. Our vision, Mecklenburg County will be a community of pride and choice for people to live, learn, work, and recreate. Our FY 26 and 27 board budget priorities are as follows: economic development, education, environmental stewardship, health equity and wellness, services for our seniors, workforce development, and reducing racial disparities. With that, we'll move to the next item on our agenda. It's awards and recognition, and I will turn the gavel over to our Vice Chair, Commissioner Lee Altman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's my great pleasure to again this year read the proclamation honoring the month of Ramadan. If the community leader, Jabril Huff, would like to come down to receive here at the podium. After I read this, we'd love to hear from you and my colleagues, and then we'll take a vote. Whereas Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar, when Muslims fast from dawn to dusk to become closer to God. And whereas Ramadan is a sacred time that commemorates the revelation of the Quran to the Prophet Muhammad and encourages fasting, prayer, reflection, God consciousness, and gratitude. And whereas each day of fasting teaches the soul to struggle with the self, persevere, be patient, and to forgive and love. And whereas Ramadan is a time to remember those who are less fortunate and engage in generous acts of charity for those afflicted by hunger, poverty, disease, natural disasters, and conflict. And whereas Ramadan reminds us that Islam has always been a part of America, and Muslims have made extraordinary contributions to our country, including those made by the famous Muslim scholar Omar ibn Said, who was enslaved and brought to the Carolinas in 1807. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the County of Mecklenburg recognizes February 17th to March 19th as the month of Ramadan. This 17th day of February 2026, signed by our chair, Mark D. Jarrell, Mecklenburg Board of County Commissioners.
Thank you. Good evening, Commission, and I would like to greet you all in peace. We said in Arabic, Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
I would like to thank this Commission for recognizing the month of Ramadan. As this county grows, so does the number of Muslims who call Mecklenburg County home. We currently have an estimated 30,000 Muslims, and our religious spaces are some of the most diverse places you'll find. Americans from all different backgrounds and people from all over the world. We follow a lunar calendar, making our holy days fall 10 or 11 days earlier every year. And with sunset tonight, if the new moon was sighted, we're probably in Ramadan right now. This year, the beginning of Ramadan and the season of Lent as they begin will be congruent. So Muslims and Christians will both be in a holy season, one that will allow us to get closer to God. The fasting during Ramadan is a pillar of the Islamic faith. It requires participation, and there's very few exceptions. We fast from the break of dawn to sunset. We abstain from food and drink, bad habits, and anything that will take us away from the remembrance of God. I call it our yearly spiritual family reunion. It's a time we get closer with our God, our family, our religious community, and our greater community. We often open our homes and our Islamic centers to invite friends and neighbors to join us and share in our iftar, breaking of the fast meal. Some of you have joined us in the past, and we would like to see you all again. On March 12th, we're having a citywide interfaith iftar at the Islamic Society of Greater Charlotte, and we would like to invite you there. You probably already have invitations. Ramadan is the best season to get to know Muslims. It is the season that embodies our essence. Doing good deeds, feeding the poor, acts of charity, and just striving for improvement. God consciousness is the greater goal of this fasting. We strive to be in a state of constant awareness of God, gaining discipline, self-restraint, and a greater pursuit of justice. We connect with those in need, those who are seeking justice, those who are hungry, from the neighborhoods of Mecklenburg County to Gaza to Sudan to anywhere in the world where there's famine and hunger. As we fast, we can connect with those. We have opportunity to break our fast. Many people don't. In closing, I would like to invite each one of you again to go out and spend some time with Muslims. If you can't join us at the citywide iftar, I'm sure you may have neighbors or someone you work with. Get to know Muslims during this time in Mecklenburg County. You'll learn a lot more about us. You might learn something about yourself, and the world and the greater world around us. You'll learn more about this world that we live in. And in closing again, Mecklenburg County is indeed a global village, and getting to know Muslims will make you more aware of that global village that we live in. Thank you, and Ramadan Mubarak.
Thank you so much. Any of my colleagues like to be heard?
Yeah, I would.
Chairman Jarrell.
Yep. My brother. Great to see you always. I always have I always like to take advantage of this moment. Ilya, it's great to see you always. So I've had the opportunity to participate in the iftar, both at the Islamic Center on Harrisburg Road and then Islamic Society of Greater Charlotte on the Plaza. And it is an amazing time where community comes together. It is welcoming. It is just a beautiful experience. And so I want to say, one, thank you for always being open to community, open to educating, and also leading. That's really important, and what you represent. And so I could not let the opportunity go by without saying thank you for what you're doing, and know that we as a board are appreciative of inclusivity and making sure that we're bringing communities together in a world that is filled with division. This is a community that we can show how people actually can come together of different faiths and different backgrounds. And so we embrace that, we accept that, we appreciate that. And so we appreciate you all as well and what you represent. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. And that is unanimous. We'd love for you to come down and take a picture.
Skip the motion, but
Skip the motion.
You want to just do it?
yeah. So I'll make the motion that we approve the proclamation.
Second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Now we've done it correctly.
Now it's official.
Yes.
Your face in that email.
I couldn't pull off the glasses.
Thank you for being here.
You have one in
I
every
just
color.
asked him to resend the email.
So great to see you.
A lot of weight this month. Are you going to lose a lot of weight this month? How old are you? That balances out.
Oh, how old are you?
Now you guys got to stay here and take a picture, okay? Good to see you always. Oh, yeah, you'll see me, of course.
I bet.
Wow. I didn't even know you had to. That's great.
We're doing the bump. Happy Ramadan. Thank you. Happy Ramadan.
Bro, take a photo. In the middle here.
Oh, this was empty.
Take a picture. Yeah.
Hey, Seth.
You guys spread out a little bit. Yeah, there we go.
Yes, thank you. Thank you all. Here we go. One more. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys. All right.
Congratulations again.
Okay, all right. So at this time, I will turn to Commissioner Susan Rodriguez McDowell for our Arts and Culture moment.
Thank you.
All right. So today, the Arts and Science Council is excited to share more information about the Venue Access Grant Program. The Venue Access Grant, a program of the Arts and Science Council funded by Mecklenburg County, helps reduce financial barriers for Mecklenburg County creatives and small to mid-sized nonprofit arts, science, and history organizations. The application cycle for this new grant program opened January 14th, and applications are accepted on a rolling basis. 4 informational sessions were offered throughout the month of January, wherein ASC staff met with potential and future grant applicants in an effort to help them prepare stronger applications. The initial recipients of this grant will be announced in March. All right. Multifaceted in its impact, the Venue Access Grant supports venues in becoming more welcoming community spaces by creating opportunities to collaborate with artists and presenting groups they might not otherwise host. At the same time, it empowers artists and organizations to take the stage in professional and accessible settings. Traditional performance venues are, of course, participating in this program. Local highlights to include are, as pictured left to right, the Charlotte Ballet Center for Dance and the Carolina Theater in Uptown Charlotte, and the Kane Center for the Arts in Cornelius. Several museums in Mecklenburg County are also welcoming venues in this program, including the Harvey B. Gantt Center, top left, the Beckler Museum of Modern Art, bottom left, and the McCall Center for Art and Innovation on the right. Charlotte area colleges serving as welcoming venues include Queen's University's Gambrell Center for the Arts, which is on the left, Robinson Hall at UNC Charlotte, and several venues across CPCC campuses, most notably the Parr Center in Uptown's Elizabeth neighborhood. And finally, even locally owned and private businesses will be welcoming artists and creatives into their spaces through this program, including the Independent Picture House, which is top left, Free Range Brewing, bottom left, and the Evening Muse on the right. The Arts and Science Council is energized and excited about this new opportunity for Mecklenburg's cultural ecosystem, one which will enrich our community's identity as North Carolina's regional arts powerhouse. Further, ASC is equally thankful to Mecklenburg County for their support, which makes this program possible. This is such great news. Thanks for letting us share this. It's great.
Thank you so much. At this time, I return the gavel back to you, sir.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Thank you, Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell. It was great. There are a few items we need to take up that were done in closed session. We need to do it in open session. At this time, the chair will entertain a motion to authorize the county manager to negotiate and execute all documents necessary for the acquisition of tax parcel 027-361-35 plus or minus 4.950 acres from Davis Lake Development Company, LLC, for a purchase price of $1,350,000 for park and recreation purposes.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Next, the chair will entertain a motion to authorize the county manager to negotiate and execute all documents necessary for the acquisition of tax parcel 037-163-09 plus or minus 2.931 acres from Leroy T. Sellers and wife Dorothy L. Sellers for a purchase price of $786,000 for park and recreation purposes.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Finally, Chair will entertain a motion to authorize the county manager to negotiate and execute all documents necessary for the acquisition of tax parcel 135-151-01 plus or minus 4.047 acres from 5930 Investments, LLC for a purchase price of $790,000 for park and recreation purposes.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Before we move to public appearance, some of you may be wondering why we have these beads. Some of us. We walked in, and there were beads hanging on our doors. So I'm going to turn to Commissioner Griffin to give the public an explanation as to why we have these beads, sir.
There is something that happens every year about this time in a little small city down called New Orleans, N'Orleans. Mardi Gras, the end of Mardi Gras. So this is Fat Tuesday. Tomorrow is beginning of Advent, and in recognition of Fat Tuesday and February 17th, I wanted to share the spirit and the love with my colleagues, and I hope it expands to the entire community.
All right.
Thank you, Commissioner Griffin.
Thank you, Griffin.
I like that one.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Who says commissioners can't get a little wild, huh? All right, let's get back to business. All right, we'll move to public appearance. I do have to read a statement. It's rather lengthy, so thank you for indulging me at this point. Public appearance is the period during the board's regular meeting that members of the public are provided the opportunity to speak on matters not appearing on the agenda. Members of the public who appear during public appearance portion of a regular meeting may discuss any matter within the jurisdiction of the Board of Commissioners except the following types of matters. A matter which appears on the agenda of that meeting of the board, a matter which concerns the candidacy of any person for public office, including the candidacy of the person appearing before the board. A request that the board considers funding a certain program or activity, either from the current budget or by inclusion in a future budget. Such requests will be made at the board's annual budget public hearing. The time limit for speaking is 3 minutes unless there are 4 more speakers who wish to speak concerning the same matter, in which case all persons wishing to speak on the same matter will be considered a group and given a total of 10 minutes. Board reserves the right to alter these rules on a case-by-case basis as necessary for the efficient and effective conduct of business. Members of the board will not engage in dialogue with public appearance speakers. Comments will be received and followed up on as applicable by county staff and/or members of the board. Handouts and/or tokens shall be given to the clerk for distribution to the board at the conclusion of the meeting. Members of the public can also access and view the meeting on the government channel or online at watch.MeckNC.gov. Tonight, I have 4 speakers listed. They are Zachary Strong, and you can come to either podium. Zachary Strong, Shanavia Montgomery, Jamira Ortiz, and Jeffrey Baldwin. Sure. Is Zachary Strong here? Shanavia is here. So Shanavia, why don't you come on down and we'll go back to Zachary. And Tommy, I do see you on the list. I apologize. I did not read your name. After Shanavia, there'll be Jamira Ortiz. If you want to come to the other podium.
And before my time starts, I want to make a correction. Mardi Gras started in Mobile in 1703. That's where I'm from, so I'm going to give that a little love.
Mobile. We'll give you that one.
Don't hold that against me. Don't hold it against me. All right, health equity and wellness, reducing racial disparities, services for seniors, and education, and soon economic development. All service areas under the board's budget priorities that CareRing supports with its robust, accessible, and quality-driven programming. Last week, we celebrated our 1-year relocation anniversary to the Graham Street, Statesville Road, and North Tryon Corridor in District 3, a rich and vibrant community that has embraced us as we do the work we do that begins and ends with trust. The 2 new efforts afforded in our new space are 2-Generation Clinic, where postpartum women and infants can receive holistic care simultaneously, and our Client Choice Food Pantry are both off to magnificent starts. With my time, I want to focus our attention on our existing partnerships with you as stakeholders with our Physicians Reach Out program, or PRO, and our maternal child health efforts. With over 16,000 volunteer providers extending upwards of $70 million in donated care each year, PRO, now in its 20th year, has provided life-saving, life-changing care to over 25,000 low-income uninsured patients, ages 3 to 94, who otherwise would utilize emergency rooms for care or suffer untreated, now who receive free primary, specialty, and dental care. These working families who do not qualify for Medicaid or Medicare services are now a part of the 20% of all low-income uninsured people in our county who participate in this program. And we wouldn't be who we are without data, Commissioner Griffin. 98% of our patients served in this program experience no preventable hospitalizations in the year after their enrollment with us, saving our community nearly $10 million in preventable inpatient visits each year. And our pride and joy are maternal child health programs, nurse-family partnership, and a guided journey. Post-ARPA funding, which helped to expand these programs, we've worked diligently, as promised, to fundraise to a level of sustainable growth. A guided journey, the brainchild of former Health Director Dr. Washington, and my first county a grant applied for in my tenure as CEO, is now celebrating its 5th anniversary. We've served our greatest number of families to date, thanks to your programming and support, and with the Levine Foundation, we'll be adding postpartum doulas this year. Without you, none of these programs would be possible, and we're not asking for increased support. We understand the expected economic strain of the county's budget forward, but health disparities in these conditions are going to continue to widen. So we only ask for sustainment so we can continue to do our work uninterrupted and do our part in navigating our current and very unpredictable landscape forward. We're not afraid of change, and in our 70 years of existence, we have ridden the waves of disruption and will continue to do so with grace and not waste opportunities that crises often present, not because the path is clear, but because our mission and those we serve are greater than the moment. Thank you for your continued support.
Thank you. After Jamira, we're going to hear from Jeffrey Baldwin.
All right. Well, good evening, all. My name is Jamira Ortiz, and I proudly serve as a board member of Caring. Thank you for the opportunity to speak during this very important season. Caring exists for the working families, seniors, and children of Mecklenburg County who are one unexpected disruption away from crisis. And while we are fairly known for our various healthcare programs that you just heard Shanavia eloquently mention, Caring has expanded our representation of what quality healthcare represents in and around Mecklenburg County. For example, when the federal freeze on SNAP benefits created uncertainty, we did not hesitate. We mobilized 222 volunteer hours and hosted 5 food drives, which served 111 households and reached 361 individuals in a matter of weeks. Those numbers represent real people. Parents trying to keep food on the table, seniors choosing between medication and groceries, families who needed stability when federal systems shifted. When uncertainty around border-related policy changes created fear and confusion, Caring provided something steady. We kept our shelves stocked. We expanded our client choice food pantry to open a 3rd day each week. We made sure our neighbors knew that there was a place that they could walk into with dignity and leave with food for their families. This would not have been made possible without community partnerships like Nourish Up and The Bulb, and of course, the county support. Because of this support, we remain a trusted presence in the North Graham, North Tryon corridors and throughout Mecklenburg County. And as a board member, I take stewardship seriously. I see the fiscal responsibility, and I see the measurable impact. And I see how quickly Caring responds when our community feels pressure. So tonight, I respectfully ask that you consider continuing to support Caring, to support as we remain a beacon of hope in our community and across Mecklenburg County. Your investment allows us to respond swiftly, serve with dignity, and keep families stable during uncertain times. Thank you for your leadership and for considering continued partnership in this essential work.
Thank you. Jeffrey.
Who is held more accountable? A nail salon owner, or a homeowner association management owner? If someone operates a nail salon in Mecklenburg County, they must purchase a license, pass inspections, and comply with state laws and operate under professional oversight. If there is a problem, there's a place to file a complaint, there is a complaint that will be investigated, and the owner could face penalties. But if someone operates an HOA management company that controls millions of dollars in assets, there's no license required, no audits or inspections, there's no oversight of compliance with state law, and if there's a problem, there's not a place to file a complaint, there's no one to investigate, there's no review of law compliance, and there's no penalty for violating the law. Think about that. A technician shaping fingernails is held more accountable than a company that can take your home. There are over 500,000 residents in Mecklenburg County that live under a neighborhood that's operated by an HOA management company, and they have extraordinary power, but no accountability. They can tax, they can fine, hold hearings, place liens, foreclose on a property without a judge, ignore discovery and due process, and sell your home. Since 2018, over 6,000 homeowners in Mecklenburg County have lost their houses to foreclosure by HOAs, and over 44% of those non-judicial foreclosures across the state happen here in our county. My name is Jeffrey Baldwin, and I was almost one of their victims, but I fought back and I won. What began 4 years ago as an invalid $100 fine cost tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees to my neighbors and me. And at the first hearing, I saw the faces of others that were facing the same situation. Many of them were elderly. Most of them were people of color. And I'm watching disbelief as one after another, their homes were foreclosed and orders sold. Their faces haunt me, and I made a promise that day. I made a pledge to stand against fraud, extortion, and retaliation in HOAs. And tonight, I ask that you consider making the same pledge to the people of Mecklenburg County. Right now, HOAs and management companies operate with no oversight. They prey on the most vulnerable population, the elderly and the people with limited means to fight back. And we're asking for basic accountability and transparency. We're asking for an HOA oversight office within Mecklenburg County, a public reporting and complaint tracking system, transparency standards for financial disclosures, and fair dispute resolution mechanisms. Nearly 500,000 residents in Mecklenburg County are watching this issue. Would you take the pledge? Would you stand against fraud, extortion, and retaliation in HOAs? Thank you.
Thank you. Is Zachary Strong here? Going once, twice. Zachary Strong, okay. Tommy, I know you're speaking during the public hearing. I apologize, so I got that straight. So once we get to the public hearing, you'll come down and speak. All right, we're going to move to appointments, and we're going to start with the Women's Advisory Board. Now, just colleagues, just as a reminder, if we go up to 6, if we nominate and appoint, if we nominate up to 6, we can nominate and appoint. So if we go beyond that, it'll have to come back. So right now, nominations or appointments are needed on the Women's Advisory Board to fill 6
I have a nomination.
Yes, Commissioner Meyer.
I'd like to nominate Satoria Kraft.
Satoria Kraft is nominated. Next, Commissioner Powell.
I'd like to nominate Dana Alexander and Tanya Folks.
Dana Alexander and Tanya Folks. Any other nominations? Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell.
I'd like to nominate Sharon Scott and Keavni Jonas.
Keavni Jonas, okay. Any other nominations? Commissioner Dunlap.
Since we're going to violate it anyway.
Holly Sullivan.
Holly Sullivan
Okay.
and Shante Acuna.
You said Shante Acuna, okay.
And Holly Sullivan.
And Holly Sullivan, I got that. Commissioner Griffin, you had something?
No, that's,
Bless you.
The nomination be closed.
Let me make one nomination, Commissioner Lee. I'm gonna go ahead and nominate Renee Barfield and Caitlin Lee.
And what was the last one?
Caitlin Lee.
Okay.
So the nominations that I have, Madam Clerk, are gonna be Shante Acuna, Dana Alexander, Renee Barfield, Satoria Kraft, Tanya Folks, Keavni Jonas, Caitlin Lee, Sharon Scott, and Holly Sullivan.
And this gives you just about a brand new board, so move. Close the nomination.
I had to.
So you did it.
I did it, yes, you're right.
That gives you
All right,
almost a brand
this
new
comes
pool.
back. Yeah, this comes back anyway next week, so we don't have to even nominate. So this will come back and we'll vote.
It's a method to the madness.
There's a method to the madness, that's right. All right, next we're going to go to appointments for Information Services and Technology Advisory Committee. A reappointment is needed on the Information Services and Technology Advisory Committee for 1 3-year term expiring February 28th, a great day, 2029. Mithili Banka is eligible for reappointment.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Ms. Banka, you are reappointed. Thank you for your service. Next is Public Art Commission. Appointment is needed on the Public Arts Commission to fill 1 unexpired term expiring June 30th, 2026. Education Field Representative slot.
So moved.
Second.
Is there a motion to appoint Liz Richardson? Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, ayes have it. It's going to get you. All right, it is after 6:30, so we're going to move to public hearings. First one is Business Location Expansion, Maersk Agency USA, Inc. The chair will recognize Clay Andrews for the presentation. And then while he's coming, I need a motion to open the public hearing to receive comments on a proposed business investment program grant to Maersk Agency USA, Inc.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, ayes have it.
Good evening, Chair Jarrell, Vice Chair Altman, County Commissioners, Manager Bryant. I'm here tonight to present for your consideration a business investment program grant for Maersk Agency USA, Inc. And I'm supposed to be moving this. Maersk Agency, Inc. is a publicly traded high-tech transportation broker, a division of A.P. Moller, a global leader in integrated logistics and container shipping, founded in 1904. Their headquarters is currently Florham Park, New Jersey. Global workforce of more than 100,000 people will house key functions including finance, HR, legal, commercial strategy, and technology at a new office. They're proposing for Mecklenburg County a $16 million investment that's split $10 million in real estate and $6 million in business personal property. They're proposing to hire 520 new employees at an average of $115,227 per year and add about 100 to 150,000 square feet of additional space. They currently have about 600 employees in Charlotte at a site off Arrowwood Road, which is where this will take place. And we would be competing with Atlanta, Georgia, who've also offered about $11.75 million in incentives. I'm showing on a map here the proposed location of the expansion, 9300 Arrow Point Boulevard off of Arrowwood Road, and it's in Commission District 2. So what's been offered, the county is looking at a consideration for 7 years at 75% of the new ad valorem tax, or about $357,996. The city of Charlotte considers this a target industry as an office, and they've offered 8 years at 90% for $269,435. The state has also offered to help with a Job Development Investment Grant, or JDIG, which is about $9,457,150. In order for that grant to be effected, it is dependent upon a local match. So in this case, the $357,996 will be serving as a key to unlock a larger grant of $9.4 million. So the total incentives offered are $10,084,581. So we take a look at the jobs that they're bringing. It's across a broad spectrum of sales and marketing, office support. Of course, this is a U.S. headquarters, so there will be management, legal support, and office administration for a total of 520 employees. We run this through a cost-benefit analysis to make sure that the county benefits from a project such as this. In this case, Maersk is expected to create an additional 542 jobs By the end of the 5-year grant period, which means the 542 jobs are in addition to the jobs the company is going to create, but are here because the company is expanded. And Maersk is expected to create an additional cumulative net of $2,133,375 in sales tax revenue by the end of year 5. We can also see that Maersk Agency is expected to net the county $332,167 in revenue above and beyond the incentive amount in the final year of the grant term for a cumulative net of $1,126,479 over 5 years. Now, you can't really see this chart from the audience, I know. Hopefully you can see it at your desk. But these are spin-off small business jobs that are expected to be created because Maersk expands. It will increase the need for other services which can be provided by small businesses, and that number should be around 440 based on the cost-benefit model. Whoops. Rushing my judgment here. So we always try to do a profile of these companies to see what kind of corporate citizen they would be here. And in this case, it looks good. They do consider second chance hiring for people, considered on a case-by-case basis, depending on the offense and the job match. They offer various roles in customer service, logistics, operations that do not require college degrees. These positions often emphasize skills, certifications, or experience over formal education. They offer on-the-job training. They have committed to work with all of our workforce partners, such as Charlotte Works and Central Piedmont. And Maersk Agency, they also have an employee resource groups that are internal groups that support diversity and inclusion, including groups for women, veterans, LGBTQ plus employees, and others. They have a full benefits package that includes health, dental, vision, and retirement, employee assistance program. They also offer a $2,500 per child adoption assistance, which is a little unique. Military caregiver leave up to 26 weeks a year. Maersk Agency has, as I mentioned, employee resource groups. That one got repeated. At this time, we're requesting the Board of County Commissioners to vote and adopt a resolution to approve a 7-year, 75% business investment program grant to Maersk Agency for a not-to-exceed amount of $357,996 and authorize the county manager to negotiate and execute the contract. This concludes my presentation.
So moved.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Before we carry the motion, we do have a speaker. Tommy, I'm going to ask you to come. Tommy Nichols, I'll ask you to come down to the podium.
He's coming. Can I ask about Johnson C. Smith?
Let me let him speak, and then we'll all do it,
okay.
and we'll go to questions. Right after he speaks, I'll come to you first.
I did have a handout. Did you guys get the handout? You guys have that? Good, good. Good evening, Chair Jarrell, Vice Chair Altman, and distinguished commissioners, as well as a county manager. My name is Tommy Nichols. I'm the Executive Director of Power Up USA, a Mecklenburg County-based nonprofit focusing on closing the digital divide and preparing residents for today's workforce. To date, we have trained more than 2,200 youth, adults, and seniors in our center that's in District 2. I'm here tonight in strong support of the proposed business investment program grant for the companies you guys are going to talk about tonight. These projects represent millions for Mecklenburg County and the creation of over 1,000 jobs. With an average salary of over $115,000, that is very significant. That is transformational, and that is the kind of economic development we need, especially in District 2, where our training center is located. But attracting global companies is only part of the equation. The real measure of success is whether Mecklenburg County residents are prepared to access these jobs. The two proposals outline positions, as you just heard: customer service, business operation, HR, legal support, administration, and technology-enabled roles. And many of these positions emphasize skills, certification, and experience over degrees. Power Up USA is prepared to be that workforce development partner with those organizations, not just to the night, but those who are coming into the county. Through our training programs, we equip residents with practical job-ready digital skills, Google Workspace, cybersecurity, CRM fundamentals, AI tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Canva, and so many others that play an important role in the foundation of modern logistics and operational environments. In addition, our digital seniors program that we're so proud of ensures that older adults are not left behind in this rapid evolving economy. We provide digital training to seniors in cybersecurity, and we go to locations you see, not just the core city of Charlotte, but we also been to Pineville, we've been to Huntersville, Cornelius, as well as Huntersville. We provide that particular training to seniors in housing organizations, housing communities, churches, and 3 other corridor of opportunities. So we help seniors to access this technology so that they can be prepared and not be overlooked. This work directly supports the county's priorities around services for seniors, as well as workforce development and reducing racial disparities. Tonight, as you consider this investment, I respectfully encourage continued collaboration between county, these particular organizations, and community-based workforce development partners like Power Up USA to ensure that residents from every zip code have a pathway to participate in these opportunities. Economic growth is powerful, but inclusive economic growth is transformational. Power Up USA stands ready to partner. I want to thank you for your time and your leadership.
Thank you so much. Let me take it one step back. Let me get a motion to close the public hearing first.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, ayes have it. Now, I'll entertain a motion to adopt a resolution approving a 7-year, 75% business investment program grant to Maersk Agency USA, Inc. for a not-to-exceed amount of $357,996 and authorize the county manager to negotiate and execute the contract.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Is there any unreadiness? You had a question, Commissioner Leek.
No, my hand is up because it says, and it talks about my seniors being allowed to be a part of this process of workforce. And that's a plus. And I hope that young people are listening and this community is listening, that because one reaches an old age, it doesn't mean they've stopped living. So I thank you for those comments coming from District 2. And we certainly need the support. And we have people who are aging sitting up here who complain about those of us who've aged. But I thank God that I'm still here. So I must be doing something right. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
It's already been moved and seconded. Commissioner Griffin.
I'm glad this teenager has a comment to make. Clearly, this is a phenomenal opportunity for Mecklenburg County, but I would have wanted to highlight the speaker, Mr. Nichols' comments earlier about the importance of being inclusive in opportunities that come into Mecklenburg County. We talk all the time, colleagues, about living wage, and certainly an average salary of $115,000 is a living wage. However, there has to be training and commitment. So I hope that there can be partnerships like what Mr. Nichols articulated earlier with that program as well as others. So thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to comment.
Thank you. And I also want to turn to our Chair of Economic Development.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So on behalf of the entire Economic Development Committee, we voted unanimously. This is Commissioner Dunlap, Commissioner Griffin, Commissioner Altman, and myself, unanimous support for this. These are jobs that actually pay higher than the standard occupation codes, so that's fantastic. On-the-job training, upward mobility, they got us at all of those and the benefits as well. So
great, thank you.
I just want to ask if we can add Johnson C. Smith as a part of the training facility, if need be. It's in District 2.
Yes.
Are you saying yes, sir?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, at this time, you've heard the motion. It's been properly seconded. All those in favor, let's see by show of hands. All opposed?
That old lady said no?
One opposed, Madam Clerk. All right, thank you. Next, we're going to move to another public hearing. Before I recognize Clay, the motion is needed to open a public hearing to receive comments on a proposed business investment program grant to Pacific Life. Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Ayes have it. Clay?
All right, thank you. So this is for a business investment program grant for Pacific Life. And Pacific Life is a major U.S.-based financial service company providing life insurance, annuities, and mutual funds to individuals, businesses, and pension plans. They are number 272 on the Fortune 500 list. They're a mutual holding company, which is privately owned by its policyholders. So that means they can focus more on long-term decisions rather than short-term decisions. They were founded in 1868, and they're headquartered in Newport Beach, California. And they've been named one of the world's most ethical companies by Ethisphere Institute for 8 consecutive years. Pacific Life is seeking an East Coast presence because they're looking for a place that provides access to a deep pool of skilled professionals in the financial services industry that is cost-effective with other locations. They're also interested in flight availability to and from Southern California and a location that overlaps with European office business hours. So in this case, the company is looking at a $12,300,000 investment. That would be split between $9,950,000 in real property and about $2,350,000 in business personal property, and that equals about 68,000 square feet of office. They're hoping to hire 301 new employees at an average wage of $176,379. And in this case, we're competing with Rock Hill, South Carolina, and New Jersey, Jersey City, New Jersey. So the project is looking at a location where a new office building would be built. You can see it here at 1111 South Tryon at Moorhead. The submarket is South End, and it's in Commission District 4. They've broken ground on this building, but it hasn't come out of the ground yet. And in this case, to be competitive, the county has offered 5 years at 75% for a $210,000 grant amount. The city of Charlotte is offering 6 years at 90% for $182,896. The state has offered a JDIG incentive for $5,477,250. Of course, that's dependent on a local match. And there are also some other state-sponsored grants in here, such as Workforce Opportunity Tax Credit, Federal Bonding Program, and North Carolina Community College credits that bring the total to just over $7,002,946. So when we take a look at the employees here, again, you're looking across the board at software developers, accounting, financial specialists, sales, reinsurance, facility managers, at average wages that are generally at or above the market for those positions in this market. When we run this through the cost-benefit model, we see that Pacific Life is expected to create an additional 620 jobs by the end of the 5-year grant term. Pacific Life is expected to create an additional cumulative net of $2,042,766 in sales tax revenue by the end of year 5. And they're expected to net the county $274,942 in revenue in the final year of the grant term for a cumulative net of $910,211 over 5 years, over and above the grant terms. They also will likely cost the spinoff of about 462 small business jobs in the county by the end of year 5. So when we look at their corporate and community profile, we see that they offer also a complete list of benefits, comprehensive list, including insurance of all types, tuition assistance, tuition reimbursement, professional development, child care, elder care, resources at discounts, and many others. They do have roles that do not require college degrees. Hiring is based on relevant skills. Pacific Life does have second chance hiring program based on the role, the nature of the offense, and the federal, state, and local laws applicable to that position. And they're committed to working with our workforce partners here as well. We also, when we take a look at some of their community involvement and philanthropy, that they're very, obviously with Pacific Life, their logo being a whale, they're very committed to the environment. Pacific Life Foundation will give $9.5 million in grants. This was last year, so we should have a total on that soon. They also are very strong supporters of ocean health, $2.5 million to the Ocean Conservancy, Thames 21, which is the Thames River in London, where they have an office, and Waterways Watch Society. $1 million to the American College for Financial Services, $3.2 million for food insecurity in Orange County, Omaha, Nebraska, and Lynchburg, all places where they have offices currently. They partner with Dress for Success, Junior Achievement, and others. And they package, last year, 132,580 meals worldwide through their Week of Service program, which supports local food pantries chosen by local offices. So we think that they would be a very good corporate citizen to have here. And as such, we're requesting the Board of County Commission to vote and adopt a resolution to approve a 5-year, 75% business investment program grant to Pacific Life for a not-to-exceed amount of $210,000 and authorize the county manager to negotiate and execute that contract.
Okay, before we do the motion, Madam Clerk, are there any speakers?
No.
Okay. Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell, do you want to speak to this?
Sure. Yeah. Once again, the Economic Development Committee unanimously supports this BIP. We love one of the most ethical companies for 8 consecutive years. We never heard of that before. That's fantastic. The corporate culture and community partner aspect, the high wages, we all were in support. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Were there any other questions, Commissioner Dunlap?
No question. I thought she was going to move the motion.
Oh, I thought we already did.
Well, I want to let me close the public hearing first.
I move to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Is there, you had a?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. All right, now, at this time, motion is needed to adopt a resolution approving a 5-year, 75% business investment program grant to Pacific Life for a not-to-exceed amount of $210,000 and authorize the county manager to negotiate and execute the contract.
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor, let's see by show of hands. All those opposed? One opposed, Madam Clerk. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda, my favorite people here. We will hear from Historic Landmarks Commission, their annual report.
There's a clicker down at that podium.
So we have Stuart Gray and Melanie Redrick, Chair of the Historic Landmarks Commission. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman Jarrell, all the commissioners, and I'm part of District 2 with Ms. Vilma Leak, so thank you very much. My name is Melanie Redrick. I'm an architect here in Charlotte. I work for Clark Nexon. I'm a Charlotte native. I went to West Charlotte High School. I've been on the Historic Landmarks Commission since July of 2024, and I have been chair since summer of last year. So we're going to do our annual report, and then at the end we do have our kind of funding requests for 2027. All right, so just as a reminder of what we do, we recommend designation of historic landmarks. So we have a survey committee that just makes sure that we're aware of our assets in this community, and we recommend designation when appropriate. We also do design reviews for any changes to historic landmarks. We purchase and sell historic properties through the revolving fund, which was so generously provided to us by you. And we also facilitate historic preservation events and just kind of celebrate the history of our county. So we've done several landmark designations in 2025. This one is the Dr. Charles W. and Vivian L. Williams House. And this is very significant in that this was the first property that we designated in the Hyde Park neighborhood. And it also helps people to see that historic properties, they aren't always the Victorian mansions, that history is all around us. Another landmark designation that kind of shows a little bit of our reach would be the Davidson Baptist Chapel, and this is currently where the Armour Street Theater is, and this was built in 1960, and we worked very closely with Davidson and to get this designated, and we're very proud of this one. This landmark designation is the Ziegler Bowers House. It's from 1923. It's a craftsman/colonial revival, and it is part of the Wesley Heights neighborhood, which was designated as a historic district in 1995. So a very important neighborhood in Charlotte. And this one I'm particularly excited about because we actually purchased this as part of the revolving fund, and it is right across the street from my high school, West Charlotte High School. It is the Kelly Alexander House, and it was owned by Kelly Miller Alexander Sr., who is from the Alexander Funeral Home family, which is believed to be one of Mecklenburg County's oldest African-American owned and managed businesses. Also a very strong leader in the state NAACP. And we purchased this one, and we'll talk a little bit about it, but we've already received a lot of interest in preserving and protecting this property. So in addition to actually recommending things for landmark status, we also have several properties on the study list. McClintock Presbyterian Church, it's possibly the oldest Black church congregation in Mecklenburg County. The building dates from 1890, so this is on our study list, as well as the Ford House from 1968, which is an important modernist house that helps represent the development of East Charlotte. So that one is actually something that we're going to consider for designation as part of our survey committee. And we approved 65 projects for certificates of appropriateness. So that is our mechanism to just make sure that when there are major renovations or changes to historic landmarks, that we make sure that they are meeting the Department of Interior standards for renovation. We work very closely with the people who own these properties. We want to see them successful because we want to see these properties preserved. Something that we're really, really proud of, been working on this for years and years and years with the department, would be the preservation of the Stafford Slave Cabin. 1840 was the date, and we believe that this is the only identified surviving slave cabin in Mecklenburg County. We're able to save it, relocate it, and it's being restored in collaboration with Parks and Rec. We have real estate projects, so properties that we purchase with the revolving fund. We also use the revolving fund to help renovate these projects, to protect them, and to get them ready for their new owners. So one example is a Torrance Lytle High School roofing project, which was recently completed, and the relocation of the Douglas House, where we worked in collaboration with a developer to move the house and protect it on the property. And it's near the historic Still Creek Church. Okay, some more real estate projects. We have the Edgewood, which we just purchased, and we're preparing that for resale. It's from 1840. And then the Sloan House from 1890. And we collaborated with the town of Davidson on the sale of this prominent house with a protective deed covenant. One of the great things about purchasing properties with the revolving fund is we can put protective covenants on those properties so the new owner will have a mechanism to make sure that that home is protected and preserved. So we do outreach initiatives with the department. Two that we did recently this year is we did a historic marker at the Franks House, which is one of two, we believe, surviving homes in the Third Ward neighborhood that were owned by African Americans. And this particular home was owned by the same family for 60 years. And then we also were able to do a commemorative marker for one of only 6 surviving Rosenwald schools in the county. And it opened in 1925, a 4-room schoolhouse with a $5,000 construction cost, which is just amazing to me as an architect. So we were able to kind of celebrate with the Pottstown community when we did that marker. So there are 12 people on the commission. It's a full commission now. And we have representation from every county district except for District 6 at the moment. But don't know why. We'll see what happens when we have another vacancy. And in terms of the demographic of the commission, we're about, I can't really see that number, a little more male than female, and we have, it looks like a not quite 30% minority representation. And this actually is the last slide of our annual report. We do have 3 more slides that talk about our 2027 budget priorities, but first I want to pause to see if you have any questions or comments pertaining to the annual report.
Madam Chair, why don't we go through the budget piece and
Sure.
when you get through the whole thing, and then we'll get reaction. Thank you.
Absolutely, sounds good. So for our budget priorities, we met as a group and we have 3. The first would be revolving fund contribution, and we don't have a really set number for this, but the revolving fund, it kind of hovers around $4 or $5 million, and we definitely use it. We purchased some really important properties to protect this year, and so any contributions that go toward the fund, we can use them to purchase more properties, and we can also use them to do needed renovations on properties, which can actually raise the sale price. For example, the Alexander House that we just purchased, some of our real estate advisors said with $50,000 of repairs, we could really kind of make that house more competitive on the market. So again, not a specific ask, but just knowing that the money in the revolving fund is being well used and is very much appreciated. Another thing that we haven't used the revolving fund for before, but we actually think that this could work, would be to help existing property owners with the purchase of preservation easements. So it's great for us to purchase properties and resell them, but if we have existing homeowners that just need a little push, a little help in terms of putting a protective easement on their property, we could also use the revolving fund money for that. So we just mentioned a theoretical $50,000 line item in the budget kind of set aside to help property owners purchase those easements to protect their properties long term without the deed actually having to change hands. And then the final item would be the purchase of historic markers. So we were actually able to do 2 historic markers this year, and all of our buildings are eligible for plaques, but we only do selected buildings with the historic marker program. We believe that budget increase for this specifically could allow us to do 2 or 3 additional markers per year. And that is actually the end of the presentation.
Well, thank you for that. I'm going to start with Commissioner Dunlap, then go to Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell.
First of all, thank you so much for the presentation. I'm just excited that you become the chair.
Thank you.
When we purchase homes, we tie up the funds. It's a revolving fund so that when the home is sold, the funds go back.
Correct.
Well, what happens if you tie up all the monies?
I will say I do not believe that has ever happened. And I do think that one huge benefit of it is every purchase that we make through the revolving fund is definitely a group decision in terms of the advisory group. And we're actually working on a scorecard at present to help us evaluate properties in terms of what we buy and what we don't buy. So as of so far, the history of the revolving fund, I don't even think we've gotten close to exhausting that money.
Okay, and so the last purchase we made was the Alexander House.
I believe so, yes.
And I thought we put some stipulations. Did we put some stipulations on that? Okay.
Sure. The stipulation, thank you very much. I'm Stuart Gray, Director of Historic Landmarks Department. Commissioner Dunlap, you're correct. The stipulation is that we would not sell that property until we came back to the commission, to the BOCC, with what's being proposed. And because Commissioner Griffin was so a strong voice in that discussion, we have been speaking with Commissioner Griffin, just keeping him advised as to where we are in that process. And we do have a very good offer from someone who wants to keep the property publicly accessible, but we haven't gotten anything formally set up. And, indulge me if, or let me know if I'm doing this incorrectly, but we thought we'd bring it to Commissioner Griffin first before we brought it to the full commission.
I'm fine with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Rodriguez McDowell, then Commissioner Griffin, then Commissioner Leek.
Thank you. So thank you for the presentation. It's very interesting. Can you just give us a little bit more on the purchase of preservation easements? Like, what is that price based on value, or like how do you figure out the cost of those? And maybe just define it a little better for us.
Sure. So this is actually something that is kind of a new idea for us, and we actually haven't done it yet. But the idea is when we purchase properties, one of the things that we do is we actually kind of put deed restrictions on it so that the next person that buys it or the next person that buys it, that there are certain things that they can and cannot do with that property. So we do that with every property that we purchase. The thought process is there may be some people who own properties where they want to keep the property, but they just need a little bit of help with that process. And it's several $1,000s. So I guess for a homeowner, individual homeowner, it might be something that could be a little overwhelming. So the idea that we could actually go in and help them kind of put the deed restrictions, know what the language needs to be on the property, and then actually help fund that could kind of remove that obstacle for them to kind of protect their own property from generation to generation. So we're thinking that it's really just a few $1,000s to do, but I would think that just the aspect of it could be overwhelming without support. And for certain properties, if the homeowner or the property owner were amenable to it, we could actually help them with that process. So that's the idea. It's something that we do with every property we purchase, but the idea is, what if we don't have to purchase it? What if we could just help the existing owner kind of do the right thing to protect the property in the future?
Thank you. That really helps. Appreciate it.
Commissioner Griffin.
Well, first of all, let me just thank you for the good work that you do. History is just a roadmap for humankind, and particularly since I'm a Charlotte native, I'm always interested in Charlotte's history and Mecklenburg County's history. So thank you very much. And every time you make a presentation like this one, when you talk about C.W. Williams, who was given privileges, I think in 61 or 62, as the first African-American for Charlotte Memorial Hospital when it was called Charlotte Memorial Hospital, and your efforts with the Alexander House and others. I'm just really, really excited about it. And to be a student who actually went to Torrance, not as a student, but went there to play. I went to Second Ward High School right here across the street.
Got it.
Don't get that wrong, okay? But I was aware of Torrance Lytle as a student, and I was just asking the question, what's the status of that piece?
Well, we have kind of stabilized. I think the thing we were most concerned about was the condition of the roof. So now that that has been kind of renovated, we've kind of stabilized it. So, I mean, even just in kind of current history, recent history, we've seen what happens to properties when they're not kind of properly maintained and we don't have the ability to protect them. So we feel like it's safe, it's stabilized, but in terms of a new RFP for development, that's something that is still in the works. I will say in terms of the revolving fund, being able to use that for the roof replacement is going to buy us more time in order to find the right owner for that property. It's such an important historical property that we need to make sure we have the right buyer who's going to protect it.
Thank you for all that you do and your commission. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Leek, then Commissioner Powell.
Let me say thank you. I think I know you.
I've met you before.
From your
Yes,
family.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Worked with your father.
Yes, you did.
Brilliant teacher,
Thank
social
you.
studies teacher.
Thank you.
Your whole family.
Thank you.
So thank you for what you're doing.
Appreciate it.
Keep doing it, honey.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
you look wonderful.
Thank you.
And you live in District 2.
I do.
That's the most powerful district in the county.
It is the most powerful district in the county.
Say that again.
It is the most powerful district in the county.
Now, the Sloan House, where is it located?
Okay, let me.
In Mount Carmel Baptist Church. I was there just 2 days ago.
Yeah.
But it's just a slant there. So what's going to happen about that?
So the Sloan House, so that's 1890, so that is in Davidson. And we've actually had that house for, was it like over a year? How long have we actually had that property? Sure, go for it.
We're working with the town of Davidson. We did something very similar with the town of Cornelius a couple of years ago, where we're not actually spending any money on the Sloan House, but we're acting as a pass-through body for it. We can put the protective covenants on it. And because the Landmarks Commission, well, I say we, I'm with Mecklenburg County, but our department facilitates the work. We're hand in hand. But because the Landmarks Commission has special, they have special conditions for landmarks commissions when they purchase a property. You do not have to go through things like upset bid. So the town, so far, have found it very convenient to work with us on their historic buildings that the towns wanted to put it back into the public, back on the tax rolls. And so we essentially were part of we're going to be part of a three-way sale of the Sloan House. So we will own it for a minute, but we won't have to bring any funds to the table.
Thank you for your comments.
Oh, and McClintock we're working hard to help that congregation see if there's an engineering solution for the historic sanctuary building. That there are some challenges there. And I think you may have been referring to the building leaning a bit. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. When I look at these homes that was so large near Little Rock AME Zion Church, like 15 and 18 bedroom homes years ago in the 60s and 70s. And those homes were owned by Black people because most of them came to the church there. They were part of the church and the community and the school system. And we still have some of those homes still available, but people are living in them, but they're old homes. So again, thank you so much, and thank you. I know you're smart because your dad and mama are smart.
Much appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Powell.
I did not know your parents, but I think you're such an outstanding chair.
Oh, thank you
An
very much.
outstanding communicator. I have so much respect for our boards and commissions and the people that come to us with recommendations. And when you were going over the recommendation for the revolving fund line item for the purchase of preservation easements, I thought, this is brilliant. Have you heard about that anywhere else?
We haven't even tried it ourselves yet.
I know that part.
Yes, in terms of other historic landmarks commissions that have done it, have you heard about any of them?
Nonprofits like PNC.
Okay, I'm hearing nonprofits like PNC have done it, but I don't know if we know of any other commissions that have tried this.
I just feel like it's so smart because it's just a small investment versus like all of the work that we do when we buy the property. So I'm wondering if you've met Abigail Jennings in North Mecklenburg.
I have personally not. Do you know Abigail Jennings? He does.
And so I'm thinking like, you know, she's so interested and fascinated with historic landmarks, and this recommendation matches like some of what, there's probably a need for it, big time need in District 1, but probably throughout the county. So thank you for this. I love it when advisory commissions come up with something so unique, and I feel like we should pursue this. And I hope we have to introduce you to Abigail Jennings. So,
I'm very much looking forward to meeting her.
okay, thank you. Thank you for your work.
So let me echo what my colleague said. thank you for your leadership. This was a great presentation, one of the best I've seen.
It's true.
I really enjoy this body. Stuart, I got to tell you, thank you for all of the invitations and your work. I think about when Commissioner Powell and I were at Rosenwald School there in Huntersville, and then when I was at the Franks House as well. It's great to see what we're doing with the former slave cabin. That was the one that was located off of Plaza Road Extension.
Yes.
I love history, so I'm partial to your body. And it's always striking to me how much history is in our community.
Absolutely.
When you go to these events, people are really, really interested. And the thing that, I sit next to Commissioner Griffin, and, he tees up history often. And I so appreciate that. Commissioner Lee, the same way. I really appreciate that because I think we take it for granted. But sometimes we forget outside of Charlotte, there were thriving communities in places like Huntersville and that Cornelius Davidson area.
Crestdale and
Matthews is right, Crestdale and Matthews. And when you get the opportunity to hear from those folks that were so connected to those communities, it just gives me chills. It gives me chills to think about it. So that was a long way of just saying I sincerely appreciate the work. We appreciate the work, appreciate what you all are doing, and the value that you're bringing to our historic landmarks and this community. So thank you so much.
And we're having a great time doing it, so we appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay.
All right. Next, before I turn to the manager and go to his report, I would like to recognize the former city councilman and chair of the MPTA, David Howard. Thank you for joining us, sir. Good to see you. Thank you for your work and your leadership during this time. So with that being said, the manager has multiple items on his report, so I won't waste any more time. Mr. Manager, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tonight I have 3 items under my manager's report. The first item is actually aligned to your Economic Development Board budget priority. As context, the day after the sales tax referendum passed in November, the board was introduced to a conceptual framework called Project Boast. The framework reflected a shared vision, one focused on expanding business opportunity, strengthening our local economy, supporting small businesses, and incorporating intentional anti-displacement efforts to help those businesses remain rooted in the communities they serve. Since that time, our economic development team has been conducting thorough due diligence. They have met with key stakeholders, worked closely to ensure city and county alignment, and refined the framework based on feedback and benchmarking. They have now developed more precise plans and cost estimates so that you have clear, reliable information to guide your budget decisions. This has been a deliberate and thoughtful process grounded in collaboration, fiscal responsibility, and strategic alignment. Tonight's presentation represents more than a status report. It represents a meaningful opportunity to consider strengthening pathways for small businesses, expanding access to capital and technical support, and advancing proactive anti-displacement strategies to protect legacy businesses from being priced out as our community grows. Also, I too want to acknowledge joining us in the chamber tonight our Metropolitan Transit Authority Chair, Mr. David Howard, as well as Mr. Reggie Bean with White Label Management, who is partnering with the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance to support their small business initiatives. Thank you both for being here tonight. Unfortunately, Robert McCutcheon, President and CEO of the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance, is out of town. With that, I invite our Economic Development Director to provide you the presentation. Roger.
Thank you, Manager Bryant, Chairman Jarrell, Vice Chair Altman, members of the board.
With me tonight is Jamelia Davis to our left. She's the Director of Business Diversity and Inclusion, an important aspect of the work that we do, and she was also instrumental in putting together the plans that you are going to hear about tonight, so we invited her to the podium to take part in this particular presentation. I didn't plan on doing this. I didn't know these colleagues of mine and teammates of mine were going to show up, so I just want to acknowledge the full bench over here. They are voluntarily here. They were not required to be here. They chose to do so on their own. Before I dig into the framework, the manager mentioned some of the benchmarking that we did. I think it's important for you to note that some of the work that our team did included benchmarking Minneapolis, Minnesota, Seattle, Washington, and Portland, Oregon. We stayed away from some of the larger metropolitan areas that included underground. We didn't think it was a light comparison. So some of what you're going to hear tonight are lessons learned that they went through to include what worked well for them, what didn't, and what anti-displacement efforts they included. You've heard about Project BOAST framework back in November, as the manager stated. So I want to dig right into the presentation. Again, the vision is clear. We believe these transportation investments should strengthen our business communities and not displace them. We want to position small businesses to benefit from transportation improvements. We want to connect local small businesses to economic opportunities, and we want to protect our existing small businesses from displacement. As we learned throughout this process, one entity cannot achieve this alone. It's going to take collaboration, a coordinated effort from the community to have a collective impact. So what have we done since we last met? Our teams have met with the town and all the town leaders and the city economic development department from Charlotte. I will share with you in advance that we're in alignment with the city. We are not duplicating efforts. You're going to see that we plan to partner with them on certain aspects, and if there is any type of work that we may both be doing, they're going to complement each other. We've also spoken to business support organizations. The manager mentioned the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance. These include chambers and other such organizations. We spoke to the nonprofits community, particularly those that deal in this space. We spoke to the universities and the community college, Johnson C. Smith, Queens, University of North Carolina, Charlotte, CPCC, to name a few. We invited over 20 financial institutions who lend money in this space to find out what type of loan programs they have, how they may wish to lean in on these initiatives. We also spoke with your Small Business and Entrepreneurship Advisory Board. They too are supportive of what you would like to hear. Before we get into what we're recommending as a staff, I think it's important for you to know what we considered as staff, but decided it wasn't the county's role to lean in this particular area. When we spoke to all those stakeholders, they mentioned quite a few things that they believe businesses needed in our ecosystem, one of which is a line of credit. The other would be grants. While we acknowledge that these are needs in the business community, we are not recommending that the county lean in this particular area. We have reached out to CDFI organizations, the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance, and others, and asked if they would be willing to structure loan programs or loans in a way that may be different than the traditional loan. An example may be interest-only loans or the like. They are contemplating that. They have not been able to make any commitments, but they have been open to partnering with the county and the city. The same thing for grants. We believe that the private sector can lean in this particular area. The Alliance and others have opportunities to maybe fund a grant. They're considering that. Again, no commitments, but we recognize there's a gap in our ecosystem, and we're reaching out to others to help them fill those gaps. When we spoke to all those stakeholders, we also understood that we better define who our target audience is. For example, we didn't initially include nonprofits in our definition of who we'd support. We realized they too are going to need support as all these transportation improvements occur, so we're adding those to the support list. Some things we heard with unanimity across all those stakeholders is we need to expand legal support to address displacement. In particular, some of these businesses cannot afford $500 or $600 for a lawyer to do this work, so they need funding to help connect to these legal services. The same thing applies for CPAs and financial management to get them in a position to operate in the new environment, as well as prepare themselves for successful loans and successful applications for funding. We need to provide that service. Many of our small businesses can't afford that, as well as marketing support.
So who would be eligible? And now, even though we're talking about who's eligible for both, that doesn't mean we're going to change the work that we're already doing. If someone comes in our door as a small business and they need help, we'll refer them to the existing plans that we have, Business Launchpad, technical assistance, maybe refer them as through concierge services for another institution to help them. But for the eligibility of the programs and the services we're about to talk about, we're going to make micro businesses eligible and non-religious 501c3s. An entity must have 50 or less employees. They must be single location firms. If they have 2 or more locations, they wouldn't necessarily be eligible for some of the benefits we're about to talk about. We decided that a business must have filed taxes with the county at least twice or other institutions at least twice. The stakeholders that we spoke to were not as interested in helping startups. We're not saying we shouldn't provide support for startups. We're just saying that's not the target audience for Boast. The next criteria is a little more nebulous in that they must be able to demonstrate a measurable impact as a result of the transportation sales tax and/or improvements. Whether that's a hardship or a staffing challenge, we'll have an application process. And then lastly, they must not be delinquent on Mecklenburg County business property taxes. We didn't think it was appropriate for a business not to pay their fair share and receive free services. You've seen these 5 areas before. We're going to talk about them individually through business preservation and anti-gentrification tactics, access to contracting opportunities, capacity building and technical assistance, customer connections, and then workforce and talent development. When we were before you in November, the manager asked us to give you an order of magnitude of what to expect in next year's budget. As a reminder, we expected this project to cost between $2.3 million annually and $3.6 million annually, and probably adding a staff of 3 employees or maybe 4 employees. Here's the highlight of what we're going to be sharing with you overall. We'll get into the individual details, but we learned that transit opportunities and transportation opportunities are going to differ in terms of timing. For example, a transit opportunity is something the city may be bidding themselves. That could be in their strategic investment areas. That could be sidewalks, bus shelters, or the like. The MPTA may be working at a different time scale as they get their governance in place and then they go out for bid. So we don't see the need to launch this program all in one fell swoop. We believe it can be scaled to meet the demands that are occurring in the community. However, we want to give you a holistic view of what the actual cost of this program will be when it's up and running and fully operational. So what you see before you is our fiscal year 27 estimate. And when I say estimate, we've got actual bids, or not bids, but cost estimates on the scope of work. So these are actual numbers now. They're not as subjective as they were before. We believe it's going to cost $1.4 million or thereabouts in fiscal year 27. About $2.25 million in fiscal year 28. There is an escalation cost for consumer price index. And then in fiscal year 29, which will be fully up and operational and be able to support most, if not all of the needs in our community, we think it's going to cost about $3.183 million. We would, however, hire 4 FTEs beginning in fiscal year 27 if the board chooses to fund this particular project Boast. So what do we mean by business preservation and anti-gentrification? I mentioned before that we need specific tactics to help our small businesses. We believe this is going to require legal support, and the legal support would be in the area of educating businesses on lease negotiation strategies, guidance on eminent domain, and helping them review and negotiate longer-term leases and commercial leases so they don't get priced out of their particular areas. We also found a need for legal services as it relates to contracting best practices, reviewing and negotiating construction-related contracts, supporting with regulatory compliance and procurement processes, and advising on liens and scope of work documentation. With that, I'll turn it over to Jamila.
All right. As we continue to drive economic mobility, we're creating a bridge for 2 critical groups: the businesses that are located in the construction impact zones and the businesses that are interested in doing the contract work as either primes or subcontractors. Our goal has always been meeting businesses where they are. And so we want to go into these communities and work directly with our city counterparts and our township counterparts to identify and locate business resource hubs. These business resource hubs will allow us to have outreach events in those locations, engagement sessions, training sessions, and seminars, as well as being able to meet with the businesses one-on-one in their backyards within their communities. We're also looking to launch a mentor protege program, working with industry professionals and pairing them up with small business owners. These small business owners can work directly with these subject matter experts and understand their industry, understanding how they were able to organize, the financial management, marketing, and other key aspects of these industries. While this is going on, we'll also have training opportunities, guest speakers within the Mentor Protege program. Some of the specialty trainings may include OSHA and ServSafe training. To monitor and manage these two initiatives, we will hire one program officer, which I'll talk a little bit more about on the next slide. The program officer that I just referenced will also manage the next three initiatives that I'll talk about. The Business Accelerator Program. Within this Business Accelerator Program, we'll have 25 businesses per cohort with a number of topics and core classes. We will begin the Business Accelerator programming with the construction sector. We understand that things change, and so a focus may change. So we are nimble and flexible to be able to change the industries. So we may change an industry to hospitality, marketing, or other professional services. You heard Roger mention a little earlier that we work directly with stakeholders and we receive feedback. One of the primary feedback areas was in reference to financial management. We understand that businesses are unable to always take advantage of these professional services like CPAs and CMAs. So we're going to work directly with, we're going to contract with certified professional certified public accountants, certified management accountants to provide these services. The businesses will receive these services for 6 months at no cost. Some of the services that will be included that the businesses can select from are services for fractional CFO, advisory costing and estimating, as well as bookkeeping. During this time, we will also provide educational training, some which will also include QuickBooks. After these business participants finish the programming, they will also be eligible to participate in one-on-one business counseling. With this one-on-one business counseling, the information and the knowledge that they gain from those services, they'll be able to apply directly to their business with a one-on-one counselor. We also know that during construction, foot traffic may either lessen or be diminished. And so we're working with the businesses to create a digital presence for them. And that could look like helping them create websites or enhancing the websites that they currently have, or setting up and integrating e-commerce tools so that they can continue to provide their services and products not only here in Mecklenburg County, but at expanded geographic reach. Again, I spoke about the full-time program officer that will manage those service agreements and those programs, but we'll also hire another full-time position. This position is a technical assistant program manager. So we also understand that businesses may not have the time and the resources to participate in cohort-style trainings. And so we still want to provide support for them. So this technical assistant program manager will meet them again literally where they are and provide services for their immediate urgent needs. All of these are boots on the ground services and programs, and we put this in place to ensure that these businesses not only are sustained during the construction phase, but be able to grow and thrive for many more years to come. Back to you, Roger.
The fourth area we want to focus on is customer connections. One thing that was abundantly clear when we did our benchmarking is construction in front of a building, a road closure, disrupts the existing businesses that are there. And we learned that some of these other communities did some things that we had not considered before. So you may see some things that you did not hear the first time around. Those include pop-up markets and hotlines. So if you've got a problem, you got a number to call. And we'll talk about how we'll respond here in a minute. It may include temporary wayfinding signage. If you think about what happened at Elizabeth Street here in our community, or if you think when the median went down 74 and how the community used to look before that. Those sorts of transportation improvements forever change the landscape. We want to prepare those businesses to survive that. We learned that some communities use their transit business marketing, buses, existing signs, to let folks know that these businesses are still open even though construction's occurring. And also a best practice was providing temporary art in these areas that are being impacted. Apparently that increases foot traffic and increases opportunity for people to go in and help these businesses survive. Another best practice is a ticketing system or a tracking system so that any customer or customer business that needs help can contact the county. We'll create a ticket for them, and we'll either respond ourselves or we'll send that ticket to a partner so that we can track the needs of our business, and then we can close out that particular item, or we can make certain that that particular business owner got the services that we pledged. It'll also help with our data and reporting. The general idea is we want no businesses to go unserved. This is a new position that we haven't yet talked about as the other option, and this is a person who will actually be in the field. We found out this was both popular in other cities and effective. We're going to have a team member, a street team, if you will, that's literally going to go in the field, go door to door in these impact areas, making sure that these businesses understand what's about to happen, and then work with them individually or as a group. If you think about a strip mall, it may have to be a solution that serves all of those businesses, but customized solutions that help them overcome the disruption caused by these construction zones and impact areas. And lastly, I know that at least one commissioner likes us to have data. I'm sure that many of you do. We're proposing a community management analyst to make sure we can track this, perhaps provide real-time feedback on the progress we're making, keeping you up to speed, keeping our business community up to speed, and making sure that all of the tickets that we have someone on the backside and the back office support to dispense those to the appropriate area, either internally or externally to our customers. And lastly, when we met with our potential partners, we met with the city, and we learned that they have a Skilled to Build program, and they have a plan in place for workforce and talent development. You asked us to make sure we weren't duplicating efforts. We found out there was an opportunity here that maybe we would if we also played in this space. They've set out an RFP for potential service providers to provide workforce training, internships, learning skills to prepare for these future construction jobs and other potential jobs like hospitality and retail that may benefit as well, so that we can get our residents trained up to take advantage of these particular opportunities. It didn't make sense for us to duplicate the efforts. We're not sure if we're going to be able to piggyback on their contract or create a contract with the existing provider that they have. In either case, we believe there's an opportunity to leverage what the city's doing for synergies and better use of taxpayer funding. So if you approve this through the budget process, the next steps will be we'll begin in earnest taking, if we get tacit approval today and the manager's approval later, we'll start putting the infrastructure in place and be ready to launch this in July, to include hiring the 4 people that we started, to start negotiating scope of works with service providers, to start doing RFPs, so that as soon as we have the funding available, we'll be ready to launch Project Boast and provide support to our existing businesses as well as those needing other opportunities to connect to all the opportunity that's going to come as a result of these transit. That concludes our presentation. We'll be happy to take any comments or questions.
Okay. Thank you both for the presentation. I know that there'll be a lot of comments and questions. Colleagues, what I will remind us, we're only going to do one round because there are 2 other meaty items on the manager's report. So I'm going to encourage everyone to follow up with staff for the additional questions if your time happens to run out. So with that, because this is economic development, I do want to start with the chair of ED. I'll start to my left and we'll work our way to the right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you both for this whole framework. I really like where you mentioned on slide 6 about the private sector leaning in. I think that's really important that you're deciding where that, some good places for that. But I have to say that, in my view, this is a really well thought out effort, and I really, really like what you're trying to accomplish. I really, really do. I really support the idea of lifting up these businesses and trying to keep them whole, and I think this is a great thing to be looking at. However, in my view, it's already costing the public so much money with this sales tax. And in my view, this budget ought to come out of that and not out of the county's budget. And so I would rather see this work being paid for by the municipalities who are getting so much of the tax money. And so I don't know if this is a proper place for it to be in the county. I think y'all have designed a great program, but why is it the county's to do? So that's the part where I feel disconnected. So like I said, I really support the idea of it, and I think you guys have put in some great thinking and great work on it, but I need to understand more why this is a county's role and why it should come out of our budget. And for that reason, I just don't feel in support of this, the way it's presented. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you for all your work on this to the team. I really do appreciate it. I like the framework. I think it's wonderful. I think it's an incredible effort. What I want to kind of hone in on is, and just to be clear, I voted for the tax. I supported it, but the group that pushed it really hard and raised money for the campaign was the corporate community, the Business Alliance. And I'm glad that you did discuss about the corporate community leaning in, and that shouldn't be us. But I think they should lean in more. I mean, I'm speaking as honestly as I can. They pushed this through, and so they should step up and help save the businesses that are along the line. It's just simple to me, and I think we really need to push for this partnership with them. I don't know how, as Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell said, they should pay for this. I don't know how we would do that, but a partnership, I think they could take on a whole lot more than what the county's planning to do. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Leek.
Thank you so much for this idea. It takes me back 5 years when we started the Small Business Consortium that I struggled with 4 women without a dime. It can happen. It will happen if people will work and be interested in elevating those who are struggling to have a business. So I'm saying to you, you have my support. And I do have the number of people that came to my meetings. Over 500 people sometimes was there. Couldn't even get in Valerie Woodard Center because they were anxious to be there. So I'm going to jump right back, get my names of people. I have over 1,000 names of people. And I've been meeting every 2 weeks with a group of 12 to 13 young people, young adults, who want to formulate a business and trying to have a business. But there's some things you have to do first before you can get into business. And that's what a lot of times our young people don't understand, the task of preparation before you get there. And once you get there, they begin to understand better. So I'm number 1. And whatever I can do to toot my horn and organize my people, get my names out and get my people back together, in 4 weeks, we will be having one meeting. So we're going to support it and help you 100%. And they will be self-employed and employ other folk. So this is exciting for me. Seems like Christmas all over again for my people who need it the most. And money is always important, but sometimes it takes more than money. It takes the desire to want to do it, and you have to have those people. So I've been meeting with them, and people know that. So I'll continue, and we're going to work on it. We'll be back and let you know what we need to support us. We're not going to ask you for any money to start with. Got to be prepared first, preparation. So Mr. Manager, thank you. And whatever I can do to help you and generate others in the community, to generate from 4 people to over 500 people couldn't even get in to Valerie Woodard Center. Am I right, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, you are right.
Am I right?
Absolutely.
and I didn't have any help, but it happened. So thank you so much, and thank you, honey. And Mr. Manager, thank you for boosting. I'm gonna boost it, okay? I'm gonna prop it up.
Thank you. Commissioner Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank both of you for your presentation. The concept is phenomenal. It reminds me, well over a year ago, I sat with a young man who was just had a lot of ideas. His name was David Howard. He had something called P2P. All right, P2P, Pathways to Entrepreneurship. Was trying to get me to understand what he was talking about. So I'm really glad that Mr. Howard is here and certainly would yield to his experience at the federal level and state level with programs like this. Certainly, who's going to quarterback? Who's going to be responsible for this? And if we're taking the lead, then we're going to take the lead and partner with those appropriately. We got to do something. The transit program is here. It's going to be here for 20, 30 years. There's so many missed opportunities with other programs coming into this community. I don't want this to be a missed opportunity because we can't figure out who's going to be the quarterback. So conceptually, I certainly support this and want to do whatever I can do. Yes, I do like data, and I would hope we start off with the balanced scorecard and put this in frame so that we can see what the return on the investment for the taxpayers here in Mecklenburg County. So I certainly am very supportive. I still hope that you said the city's going to do skill to build or whatever it is. We have a big old school system called Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools, and there are tons and tons of opportunities in terms of learning opportunities that could be had there. And at some point down the road would appreciate the involvement of the Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools. On the entrepreneurship programs, there's construction, but in addition to construction, who's going to run this stuff? Who's going to administer it? Who's going to manage it, et cetera? So there are lots of opportunities. A lot of things occur here in Charlotte. They kind of disappear after about 3 or 4 years or 5 years in transitional leadership. I would hope that you plant this thing in such a way that if I'm not here or you're not here, that these goals can still be achieved for the residents here of Mecklenburg County. So whatever I can do, Mr. Manager, to support you in this effort and the team and the partnership, but the intellectual capacity of the young man sitting up at the top, certainly let's pull him into this discussion as soon as you can to benefit from his years of doing this work. And if there are some suggestions that he could present and put on the table of other partners, maybe the business community, the city, the state, or whatever it is, let's find out who's out there, and let's make this thing happen for the residents of Mecklenburg County. Thank you for your presentation to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Vice Chair Altman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, I'm with Commissioner Leek. I feel really excited. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Howard for being here. He is chair of the Transit Authority, and his presence says to me a real intentionality to knit the county, the towns, the cities all together, not duplicate, be effective, and actually do what we said, which is not only deliver transit, but really make some important investments and decisions to be protect against displacement, to protect small businesses, to get opportunity to people who haven't gotten it. That's a part of this package, and so thank you for being here. I want to again thank our manager for serving on the Transit Authority with everything else he has to do. We have our #1 quarterback, not to show favoritism to you over our other appointees, but thank you for being at ground zero with all of this, because it really makes a huge difference for alignment. Workforce development is a priority of Mecklenburg County Board of County Commissioners, and we spend a lot of money on our other priorities. This is a very, relative to our other board investments, this to me seems like an extremely small investment and has the capacity to empower our residents, to protect them, from this big change, to make sure they're able to capitalize on it, to align folks who have not enjoyed in our community's wealth to be able to catch this train, literally and figuratively. I could not be more excited and appreciative. We do need to show leadership. We've been saying that we need to show leadership. This is what it looks like. And we can't lead if we don't have the assets around the infrastructure to do it. And then we'd miss the boat and say, oh gosh, we failed. So that's not acceptable. This is how we deliver on what we said. So I am incredibly grateful to you, both of you, all of you, the whole team. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Dunlap.
First of all, I want to say thank you to the presenters tonight and thank our county manager for hearing the voices in our community. I put my name out there to say I support this, and I said it because I wanted the community to know that regardless of which way you voted, we were still going to be listening to your concerns. This plan demonstrated specifically that. We heard you. Now this is our response to what you said. And for those people who kept saying, well, they're going to have people that's going to do everything the corporate community wants. If you listen to this plan, if you read it, you'll see that this plan does specifically what you want. For people who don't understand why we're doing it, could you imagine all the businesses that might go out of business? Now, that might not mean anything except for tax revenue. You got to bring it back to the county. We have everything to gain by doing this. We keep people in businesses. We keep people feeding their families. I could just go on and on. So let me just ditto everything that my colleague said, because I can't say it all in 3 minutes. But it's really important to let the community know that you did what you said you were going to do. And I am eternally grateful for this plan.
Thank you. Commissioner Powell.
Thank you. So the first thing, I don't know if you remember this, David Howard, but I'm going back like 26 years. I remember when we were working on Connect Our Future, all those meetings, and I was always so happy when you showed up, because a lot of elected leaders did not show up. And I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad that you were there, because all of it matters. It's all connected. And I heard valuable input from every single one of my colleagues tonight. And I'm really happy, I share the joy of that we have this great plan. Thank you for the great plan. And when Jamila was talking, what you were saying was so important, but in addition to what you were saying, I was writing down, we have to be nimble with these micro business owners, because they can't come during normal working hours. It's all they can do to pay themselves, after they pay their employees. So we have to be nimble. We have to be boots on the ground. We have to have touch points to support them. But we also have to have more corporate help. Everybody wants to put everything on the county, and the county has come up with this amazing plan. But there's a history in this region of corporate partners not being partners. And so how can we require more from them? And, I think it's really important, because if you have any history of going to the Chamber of Commerce meetings, you know that the focus is not on small business. It's not on micro business. It's usually filled with giant corporate business partners. And we need them to understand that we need their help. So not only the corporate partners, but the Chamber of Commerce. And I think our county manager is working on changing the way things are done with requiring more partnerships. So I think every single commissioner brings up a really good point. How do we do it all together? And, how do we keep from all of the burden being put on the county? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for those thoughtful comments. A couple things. Mr. Manager, thank you for your leadership, being responsive. This is actually what we heard as we were in the community and promised people that we would respond to. Dr. Johnson, Roger, Jamelia, and the entire team, thank you all for your leadership, your presentation tonight. I'm going to ask the rest of the team to please stand and be recognized for your work as well. Thank you. This was, I want to make it clear that the presentation was in response, again, to concerns that were raised by board members. Even though we were advocating for this, but we certainly wanted to put those guardrails in place, and you were actually responsive. So that's number one. Number two, I think it's important for us to understand that we are part of a larger pie. This is our slice, but to your point in the slide, it talks about coordinated effort, right? So that means our city partners, nonprofit partners, our corporate community as well. I think what I hear some of my colleagues making the comments, we probably need to get visibility to what the corporate community's plans are, the alliance, and so on and so forth, right? Let's get that, Mr. Manager, so that we can get a better understanding of how they're leaning in and the amount of dollars that they're coming with and the complementary nature of the programs. So to your point earlier, Raj, we don't want to be duplicative. That's not what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is to complement or supplement so that we can make sure that all the sectors are, caught in this web. Our focus is small business. So with that, we don't want to, step on the toes of others that may have a different focus area, but we need to have a wide coverage area. So that's one thing that we're going to need. We're going to need to follow up what's going on. What are these other programs? What are the towns doing and those entities? Also, I would like to see us really push for the elements that we don't feel like is in our wheelhouse, but the community is asking for. And I think I heard you say that we were going to do that, but as it relates to lines of credit and grants, Mr. Manager, that's where our partners can lean in. And we talk about these lines of credit. I would like to see it somewhat aligned to the way we do our revolving loan fund, right? So some of that criteria is stripped down because we have the data that shows that, our default rate is less than some of the bigs. So we've got a proven product and a proven model already that has baked in risk, and we can show them that, hey, the risk is not exactly how you've been pricing it. So that's the other thing. These grants are going to be really important. They're going to be really important. Everybody's still not going to be in a position for loans and lines of credit. We've got to get grants, and we've got to continue to push MEC lending. That's a product that we have that I didn't see in the deck, but again, we do have that product, and I think we should continue to push it. There was two other points. There was something about displacement. So when businesses are shut down, are there any opportunities for temporary space? Depending on the business, can we locate facility or different spaces that people may be able to use, give them visibility to that, shared workspaces and things of that nature? I think that's an easy lift. And then I also think that we should continue the community outreach. We have to go into the community and really educate them and be proactive before the streets are shut down, and continue to go out into the community arm in arm and lockstep with MPTA, because David, I think you guys have got to get back out in the community. I know this is part of your plan to get back out in the community and continue to get that feedback. We can't shut the faucet off and then turn it on when we get ready. We should be proactive, stay proactive, and make sure that we're out there. The final point I'd like to understand, can you all explain exactly, Reg, can you explain or have these guys explain exactly what's Reggie's role and what we're trying to do? Do you want to come down, Reg, and just explain your role? Because I don't know if you know all of the commissioners, but Reggie Bean is an amazing individual working in our community, workforce development specialist, small business owner. also Executive Director of My Brother's Keeper, Charlotte Mecklenburg, and she's doing amazing work. So I wanted to make sure that we understood his role.
Before Reggie talks about the role, let me just share that I met with Reggie today to talk about this particular project, and he bought me a cup of coffee, and for that, I'm eternally grateful.
And toast. Well, good evening, everybody. Chair Jarrell, County Manager David Howard. I'm Reggie Bean, founder and managing director for White Label Management Group. We are a workforce development consulting firm. We sit at this intersection of workforce development and small business development. We've been in business here in Charlotte for, we're about to celebrate our 5th year. After spending 20 plus years on the corporate side. But Roger and I sat down today to talk about my role as it relates to small business support, workforce development support, but I also am the board chair for the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance Foundation. And so I'm here, Mr. Manager mentioned that the CEO, Robert McCutcheon, he couldn't make it today. So I'm here on behalf of the Alliance just to understand what the plans are to make sure that we reduce any duplicity. We want to make sure that we are as efficient and effective as possible. So I'm here really wearing 3 hats: as a small business owner, as a workforce leader, and also as a member of the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance. So thank you.
Thank you. And I said Executive Director of MBK, but I should have said Board Chair of MBK. My apologies. Thank you, Commissioner Dunlap, for the correction. Well, thank you all for the presentation. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you all for your feedback. The next item, Mr. Chair, is aligned to your health, equity, and wellness budget priority. I have Lonnie Parker, Business Operations Director in the Department of Community Resources, providing a presentation on H.R. 1, commonly referred to as the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. As you've heard in previous presentations, this legislation includes significant changes across multiple policy areas. Tonight, however, we will focus specifically on certain administrative requirements and funding impacts to our Medicaid and food and nutrition services programs. The information being shared is based on the policy guidance that has been issued by the state to date. I want to emphasize that our projections will continue to evolve over time as additional state guidance is provided regarding county implementation. We are bringing this information forward now because of its relevance to the fiscal year 2027 budget process. There are considerations that the board will be presented with during the budget process that tie directly back to this legislation. Our goal is to remain proactive in keeping the board, our residents, and our community partners informed about the challenges we face in the upcoming fiscal year. Also, this update is very timely as several of us prepare to travel to Washington, D.C. to attend the NACO Legislative Conference. With that, I will now turn it over to Lonnie.
All righty. Thank you. I would like to just say good evening to Chairman Jarrell, Vice Chair Altman, County Commissioners, and also thank you, County Manager Bryant, for inviting the Department of Community Resources to present on the federal funding and administrative impacts of H.R. 1 to Mecklenburg County. All right. So I will go over a brief description of H.R. 1, the Medicaid work requirements, the Medicaid recertification process, the food and nutrition expanded work requirements, the food and nutrition funding reduction, and the food and nutrition benefit penalty contingency. We have highlighted these policy changes due to the impact on our staff, funding, and budget. There are other policy changes in this bill, but these highlighted today are the most impactful. H.R. 1, also known as the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, was passed in July 2025 and permanently extended lower tax rates from a previous bill passed in 2017. The tax cuts were paid for by reducing federal spending on Medicaid and food and nutrition services. Work requirements were implemented for Medicaid, and the 6-month recertification process was implemented for the Medicaid expansion population. Food and nutrition services work requirements were expanded and administration reimbursement was reduced. These items will increase screening and processing times for our staff. In addition, additional steps and verification documents will cause an administrative burden on applicants. In FY28, there will be a Food Nutrition Services cost share penalty that is calculated from the payment error rate. I will start by speaking about the Medicaid policy changes. Medicaid work requirements are new and applicable to the Medicaid expansion enrollees starting in January 1st, 2027. I would like to highlight that outreach will begin in June 2026 by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. Outreach includes education to beneficiaries that are subject to the Medicaid work requirements. There is an 80-hour per month requirement that can be met by work, community service, a work program, or any combination of the above items. The participant can also be enrolled in any education program for half-time. The work requirements are also met when the participant's income is above $580 a month. Our staff will work with eligible participants to refer them to a county work program. There are an estimated 88,000 participants in Medicaid expansion in Mecklenburg County. Medicaid work requirements apply to able-bodied adults aged 19 to 64 that do not meet one of the exemptions in this population. An estimated 23,000 of the 88,000 will be subject to the requirements. A high-level overview of the exemptions for the work requirements include parents, guardians, caretakers of dependent children under the age of 13 or have special needs. This is an increase of work on our staff due to the new questions on the Medicaid application, verifications for NC FAST, and eligibility requirements that will have to be applied to the applicants. H.R. 1 imposes a 6-month recertification period starting January 1st, 2027. There are 88,000 participants as of December 2025, and we have aligned 24 eligibility specialist 1 positions to work on recertifications and requested reclass down 31 eligibility specialist 2 positions, 2 eligibility specialist 1 positions as part of the FY 2027 budget process. This was an annual recertification process prior to being implemented as part of this bill. I will now transition to the food and nutrition service policy changes in the bill. Food nutrition services work requirements were expanded by H.R. 1. General requirements include registering for work, accepting a suitable offer, not voluntarily quitting or participating in an employment and training program. Able-bodied adults are required to work 80 hours a month, participate in a work program, or a combination of both for at least the 80 hours per month. There is an additional calculation of workfare hours that can be assigned due to the benefit amount. These work requirements were extended to adults up to age 65 and now limits the dependent child exemption to those under 14. Here, we have an estimated 16,000 participants that are subject to the expanded F&S work requirements. There are 9,600 participants aged 55 to 64 and 6,300 participants with children 14 to 18 years old. Additionally, this is an increased burden on participants that causes administrative churn. This is when someone is denied and then adjusts their work schedule and reapplies in 30 days. The additional requirements are an increase of approximately 30 minutes in processing time. There has been a rapid implementation by the state with minimal time to learn new policies. In January 2026, our timeliness was at 92% for recertifications, 91.94% for normal applications, and 90.48% for expedited applications. We are going to continue monitoring workloads and establishing benchmarks to gauge staffing impacts for FY 2028. In addition, I would like to point out that the work requirements, they do not match in between Medicaid and F&S. All right. All right, there is a reduction here in our FNS administrative reimbursement rate percentage to 25% from 50% that goes into effect October 1st, 2026. This will be an estimated $7.5 million reduction in revenue. FY28 projections are a reduction of an estimated $10 million in revenue. This is not a reduction in services or administrative work, but a direct county impact. Okay? All righty. I spoke about the FNS work requirements and administrative reimbursement rate reduction. Now I always speak about the FNS payment error rate penalty applied to the benefits. In FY 2028, a cost share penalty will be applied to states that have a payment error rate above 6%. The North Carolina benefit totals for FY 2025 is $2.8 billion. The unofficial North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services error rate for FY 2025 is 7.01% and will be validated on June 30th, 2026. This would calculate to an estimated cost penalty of $141 million. The FY 2024 payment error rate was at 10.21% and would have been a cost share of 15%. States will have the option of choosing the error rate from FY 25 or FY 26 starting in FY 2028. And then the prior 3-year rate will apply from that point forward. For example, in FY 2029, the error rate from FY 2026 will apply, and in FY 2030, the error rate from FY 2027 will apply, and so on. This is an ongoing concern. Okay? Next slide here. Now I'm just going to go through a summary of the items that I just highlighted. As far as the Medicaid work requirements, the department, we will continue to monitor our workloads to determine the staffing and aligning appropriately with our work demand. We are not expecting any administrative funding loss in FY 27 just due to the staff processing the recertification. Participants who do not meet the requirements will be offered referrals to county work programs just as appropriate. Okay? Medicaid 6-month recertification, this work is reimbursed at 75%. And aligning more staff, we do expect an increase in revenue. Again, this policy is effective on January 1st, 2027. Our FNS work requirements, this will cause additional work for our staff, especially in the coming fiscal year. As participants are denied, they will reapply in 30 days, and many adjust their work schedules just so that they can meet the requirements. Again, that's what we call the administrative churn there. The FNS 75% administrative county costs. This policy change does cause a direct financial impact to the county. This change does not affect processing time or reduce any of our caseloads. The $7.5 million reduction is calculated on 9 months of reimbursement, and the FY 28 will be a reduction of $10 million in our revenue. Also, just to re-highlight this is a contingency that is out there. The policy is effective October of 2027. That is FY 2028. This is the FNS payment error rate that I'm speaking about. States do have the option to choose from FY 2025 or FY 2026 in FY 2028. Original estimates were based on the FY 2024 payment error rate and projected a North Carolina cost share of up to $420 million. The current estimates on the payment error rate at 7.01% is a projected cost share on North Carolina of $141 million. Okay. Now, that is the end of my presentation there. And
Thank you, Mike.
Questions?
Yeah, we'll start with questions. We're going to start with the chair of HHS, Commissioner Griffin, then we'll work right to left.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for your presentation. This is when you see the real impact of the national leadership and the impact on families. And the irony of all of this is it's timed specifically. One part is right after the 26 midterms, and the other part is right after the elections in 2020 and 28. It is horrible. And Mr. Manager, we're certainly going to work with you as best we can in trying to make sure that it's staffed appropriately. But colleagues, some of the requirements that are coming up of certification twice a year as opposed to once a year. And then the catch-22 is if there are errors as you're trying to implement a new program, you can be penalized for any increase in the errors that occurred without any additional support. It's going to be really a tough time for us initially going forward, and we're just going to have to be able to communicate as best we can with the general public and those who will be applying for services. I think some type of communications plan as it relates to what these new rules are might help individuals who are coming to us as they articulate their current positions. It may be helpful. I hope it will be helpful if we do that. The other piece is your budget for next year and the following year is going to have to be timed in such a way that we have the least harm for those folk who are seeking care and help from the county. It's just tough, Mr. Chairman, to share with you the feelings I have for taking $1 trillion out of food stamps and Medicaid. This is what you see as it's rolled down to the various states and then to the county. Something as simple as a reduction in the administrative rate costs. You know, we're now going to be charged with 50% rather than 25% coming back to the counties and the local taxpayers because of some of these crazy regulations. It's a tough time, but I'd like to try to look at a bright part of this too. It also gives us an opportunity for some of the programs we're working with in terms of services and educational programs. Whatever happens in terms of mobility, there might be some ways that we can help individuals improve their circumstance, although it will be challenging. But still, if there has to be work requirements, not work requirements, but educational requirements, I'm all for schools. You hear me talking about CMS all the time. What can we do working with our families and our schools to improve their opportunities? So there is something in here, I think, that we can do. But by and large, it's going to be a really difficult time for our clients and our families and children in Mecklenburg County, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Powell.
Thank you. And thank you for the presentation. And since you work in this all day, every day, I probably have more questions than I'm going to be able to ask. But so I am the liaison to Central Ina, and quite often when I'm in regional meetings, I hear different perspectives. And so while I'm very concerned about the increased workload and things like that, I'm extra concerned about the impact on seniors. But, when I sit at these tables and I listen to the discussion of people that really believe in, they believe that the big, beautiful bill is going to get rid of fraud, waste, and abuse. And so any kind of government program that we have, there are people that take advantage of it. There are people that truly need it, and then there are people that take advantage of it. And so with all of the workforce development and all of the wraparound services that we are investing in, I hope that we use this as an opportunity to get people working again that can work again. And I really didn't understand when you said the 30-day churn. If you could explain the 30-day churn a little bit better to me.
Administrative churn, so that's when someone would come in and say for recertification and then they are denied. And so then they could go out and then they would change their work schedule and then they come back in 30 days and apply again.
When you say they work there, it changed their work schedule. What does that mean?
Adjust their work schedule. So then that they can meet the 80-hour per month requirement.
So they work more?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, that helps.
And then reapply again.
So, in my mind, with however we can do it, we really need to focus on the people that need it the most, especially, I'm hearing that the biggest impact is going to be on seniors, which is worrisome. And you probably know more than I do about that, but, how do we, somebody said there a bright spot, how do we look for the bright spots in this strange circumstance? Thank you.
Commissioner Dunlap?
Yeah, I'm extremely concerned, and the reason I'm so concerned is because the federal government has continued to transfer our dollars to the corporate community. And that's what this is a result of. Transferring money to the corporate community and then putting the tax bill on the communities. I don't know how many of you know historically, we've had issues with the error rate historically. Can't tell you how many meetings I was in about the error rate. And now, even if we're doing 90%, that's still not good enough. And the error rate, if I'm not mistaken, is if you overpay or underpay $75, that's considered an error. And so now we're having to put more staff to do even more work with less reimbursement for administrative fees. And so it's putting an even damper on what we're already doing, and I thought we were really improving, and I can imagine how staff feels to have to deal with this, and just to see that and the impact it has on us, because if we end up having to bear the burden of the cost associated with this, people talk about not wanting a tax increase. It might get to the point that's unavoidable. I mean, just because of this one thing. And it's because of the federal government moving taxing down to the local level. So I can't tell you how concerned about that. And I agree with Mr. Griffin. I think able-bodied people ought to go to work. But I can promise you they're going to figure out a way to skirt the system, which means they're going to come back for more and more recertifications, which means that in order to avoid the error rate, we're going to have more and more staff people. One of the things we had already suggested was a lower staff-client ratio. This makes that situation even worse, even after we're working on this. So I can't tell you how concerned I am about this, but I usually have some suggestions. I ain't got one. That's just what it is.
Thank you. Vice Chair Altman.
Thank you. I hope that our Chairman Emeritus, we're lucky. He's going to be in places as he becomes president of NACO where he can talk about this. I feel very grateful to you for your willingness to have worked hard to achieve that, and I think it's really it's coming in handy at a really critical moment. because I don't know how else we could elevate these concerns better than to have you as our emissary out in these spaces. Not that it'll necessarily make a difference to some people, but we've got a great advocate. So I thank you for that. I feel we're fortunate. So is my understanding that in year one, we're just going to have like a net loss to our budget of $7.5 million, Adrian, right? And that's equivalent to about 1/3 of a penny of our tax rate, or?
10 million is 7.5.
Right, so not quite. But in year two, it would be equivalent, it'll be 10 million, which is equivalent to 1/3 of a 1 penny of our tax rate. So there's just huge implications for the taxpayer when the federal government stops paying for things that they have. It puts us in a terrible position. And I think the main word that is in my mind right now is grim. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Leek.
Let me first say thank you for taking on this task to tell us the sad news. And that's what we've been listening to over the last 3 years as to what the outcome was going to come with local government versus federal government. And my worry is that our state representatives, who are our legislators in Raleigh, are not meeting the task and facing the bullets. And that's a part of the process. But the closest to the people are us, which means your local government has to come up with a means by which to prepare to take care of the needs of our people. And that's why we're here, to work for the people, not for ourselves because we get elected to positions, but to make sure that the people we represent are taken care of. And the most vulnerable of those are children and our seniors. So I'm hoping that somewhere along the line that the budget that we work on will make some sacrifices with other agencies, that we can make some decisions that will impact the lives of our people, because we're going to suffer. There's no buts and ands about it. But there's some of us are used to suffering. If you've lived long enough, the economic system for some people have not been great anyway. So what we have asked us to do is to come up and look at how we can minimize, but yet supply the needs of our people as we sit here, and not procrastinate, nor to do a lot of talking, but to come up with some action that will impact and bring about a better living condition for ourselves. And I've always said this, that we have a way of, history repeats itself. So when I say we are used to it, when I talk about the loss of our civil rights movers and shakers who knew how to farm, how to make something out of nothing, or go to the neighbor and get a cup of sugar or get a cup of flour. When will we become neighbors again? So there's some living that we have to redo and reassess in helping our people to survive. So whatever that our staff can do, Mr. Chairman, I hope that we will do the best we can to make life just a little bit better for those who cannot make it for themselves. And why we're elected to these positions, and do a lot of talking, but not a lot of action. So thank you for your service, and for the health department and social service. All of these agencies are struggling now to, did the bell ring? I think it did.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I'm
Commissioner
sorry.
Meyer.
We'll talk later.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry,
Commissioner
Mr. Chairman.
No problem.
Thank you. What I really want to do is just rage on the federal government right now. It's not going to make a difference. So I have some questions, and I'm sorry, you're going to probably have to repeat yourself because this is not my cup of tea here. First of all, Adrian, again, how much is this going to cost the county? And while you're coming down here, do we know what the state is going to absorb yet?
We do not, and I even asked today, as a matter of fact, and they give us and let us know, say it's up to the legislator, and they.
I just want to make it clear to the public that there is no state budget. So how could they possibly even know what they're going to absorb? Okay, Adrian.
So thank you. As Mr. Parker laid out, there's $7.5 million of revenue that we are going to lose in fiscal year 2027, and in 2028 that becomes $10 million. So it's $10 million in total, which is roughly a third of a penny of your tax rate. The penalties, which are being pushed down to the states, the SNAP penalties, we do not know yet what the impact may be to the county. We have not heard from the state. We do not know from the state how those might be pushed out to counties. So there's a lot of unknowns about those, and those are going to come in 2028.
And regardless of what those penalties are, as you know, the county is not in a position to absorb it.
Right. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Manager, mic drop moment there.
We will be challenged with reduction.
We will be challenged, and
We have no options.
This is a crisis. This is a crisis. And I hope people are hearing this. I hope the public is hearing this, because we're at a moment here that there's like the point of no return. And it's like we can't just make up money, and we can't keep taxing people. So, all right.
And I want you to look at it in the larger scheme of things. You know, going back to our budget retreat, when we shared with you our financial outlook, this is also another factor when you think about areas that you'd like to see me invest in. And this is one more challenge that we're going to have to sort through. You have to be mindful of that moving forward.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So yes, this is the big shift that we've been talking about for a while now, where the federal government is shifting the burden more and more down. And, you know, I mean, we're doing this too with our sales tax, our additional sales tax on folks. So this big shift is really bad. And, you know, so Adrian's talked about the direct financial impact, 7.5 million one year, then 10 million the next year. So that is a direct impact to our budget for staff. But we also have the budget impact if we try to support folks who are being dumped by the federal government, right, in favor of billionaires. We're dumping other folks that we're going to have to decide if we're in a position to help those folks, and I'm hearing that we're not. So, and we have a state that hasn't passed a budget in 227 days. So, you know, we can't rely on them. So I would like to just propose to my colleagues, because we feel kind of helpless here, like we don't have options, I would like to propose that we make an impact statement, a resolution or a statement. I know that there are other municipalities and counties that are doing such kind of statements to talk about the impact of this on us, on our county, on our budget, on our people, so that, you know, we can sort of testify to the results of the OBBB bill. And so I'd toss it out there as an idea for us to talk about doing together, a resolution or a statement, an impact statement.
Is that are you making a motion? Like what are we
I didn't know if it's appropriate as a motion at this point because I don't have anything written, but I was proposing the idea of coming up with an impact statement or a resolution.
So you're going to kind of work behind the scenes and then
Yeah, we'll see if we can get support for the idea.
Support for it. I got
that
you
we
now.
can
I got
create
you.
a statement.
Give me 1 second. I want to just clarify one thing. Okay, and did you want to speak to the proposed changes that Lucette prepared for Christy Nome? Did you want to, because that's sort of like in the similar vein.
I have not seen that.
I have not either.
I thought it came from you. Let me just do this. I took up some of your time and I apologize. So
okay.
finish your.
No, I was done. I was done.
Let me come to Commissioner Dunlap.
Well, you know, in reference to what Susan is suggesting, one of the things that is important to me is that our voices are heard rather than sending a letter hoping they'll read it, which means our association is going to have our federal legislative conference, our state legislative, what do we call it?
You talking about NCACC?
Yeah, NCACC,
Okay.
where we speak to the legislators. I think when you go in force, as many as who can go ought to go there and have them face you to say, this is what's happening.
Having an impact statement to carry with us.
We have legislative day.
So why don't we do this? There's a couple things. 'Cause I hear what's being said and I hear what you are proposing. So what I would suggest we do is continue to work with colleagues in the way that we do with respect to resolutions and gaining that support. I mean, I certainly wouldn't be opposed to, putting our, where we stand in a document stating our principles, but I think what Commissioner Dunlap is saying is really important as well. So it's a both and, right? It's not just one approach. One thing, Lonnie, I do want to say thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the information. One of the things that I get really frustrated about is communication. But my number one concern is communication to our constituents is number one. And for me, in a situation like this, I don't think we can take the posture of waiting for the shoe to drop before we start a level of communication and education in the community. Mr. Manager, I really believe that we've got to be proactive, and I know that the Board of County Commissioners has tread lightly on press conferences or gaggles around delivering information, but when we get a situation like this that can have detrimental impacts to the community, we have got to communicate to the press to help with getting that message out, in my opinion. Like, we have to have an information session so that you are communicating, Mr. Manager. Dr. Campbell, Lonnie, and everyone else is communicating the potential impacts to what is about to take or could take place and the options that we're left. A lot of times I feel like we wait until everything that's happened, then we tell the public, oh, there's nothing we can do about it, right? And we have not socialized them to that. So as I was going through listening to the presentation, there were three things that came to my mind. Number one was action. I'm not saying we have to do that, Mr. Manager, but I just want to be proactive in educating the public. Number two, proactive guidance to the community and what they can do, what the impacts are to us. Suzette, this is where your expertise comes in. How do we message and message effectively? I mean, and message comprehensively. Who are our built-in channels? How do we put guidance on our website that, here's what's being proposed and this is where we go? How do we take the Mary Ramseys of the world and excuse me, Commissioner Lee, I'll come to you in a minute. How do we get to the Mary Ramseys of the world to make sure that she's pushing the message out there and her colleagues are pushing that message out? But waiting until FY28 we're behind the eight ball, so I want to be, very serious on how we do this. When Mr. Dunlap said something that I hope the media picks up. We have a tax increase. I mean, that is serious business, and that's serious implications. So I think in this particular case, throwing our hands up, there's nothing we can do. I don't buy that. There's a lot we can do. We're gonna have to think about doing things that we haven't done before, maybe that we're a little bit uncomfortable with, but so what? Because we gotta communicate. We have got to let the people know exactly what we are facing, what we are up against, and what we're dealing with. So I'll leave that right there.
Thank you for that feedback, and I want to address the interest regarding communications because it's come up a couple of times, and it is actually consistent with conversations that we had when we've discussed this item recently, that we have to be very intentional regarding communicating this impact, making sure that our customers, our clients have an awareness as well. Suzette obviously was part of those discussions, so we are in alignment with this feedback that we received from you. Obviously, we wanted to bring it forward to hear what additional feedback you may have, but it's good to hear that we are all thinking alike and we're prepared to move forward with that communication plan.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Let me come to Commissioner Leek, then Commissioner Dunlap.
I don't want you to forget that on last week, you came to a meeting with my seniors to share with them what the falls will be, what to anticipate. It's all written out. As the representative of District 2 and representing my seniors, I wanted them to know what the federal government was cutting. In print, it's in their hands. We had a whole morning and afternoon at Valerie Woodard Center, and you were there, and others came, and people came. So it's not that we are not doing something. Some of us are doing something, and some of us are saying something in the community. My thing is we talk too much, but we don't act. And I say this all the time. So don't say we're not doing anything. Maybe some not, and you don't know about it. But you knew about this meeting I had with my seniors and getting ready to have another one.
Let me clarify.
So I can't wait.
Before I come to you.
So we're getting ready to have a family reunion so we can still pump the information to the people to get them ready. What I said a few minutes ago, we've been through this before as a people. If you've lived long enough, all has not been bright, and money has not always been accessible, and means and ways have not always been successful, but people survived. We shared with each other. So something is coming down to change the mentality of where we are today of negativism versus making us have to depend upon each other. So we can't forget that. So please don't forget that District 2 is making preparation and doing something about it.
So, Commissioner Leek, thank you for that reminder. One of the things that I want to be clear on, what I am referencing is a comprehensive strategy that comes down from Mecklenburg County government. And so, as we are looking at
Am I not a part of the government?
As we're looking at that comprehensive strategy, I want there to be alignment with respect to communication through all channels, the same messaging. You certainly did put that out, and I acknowledge that. I'm challenging the manager and our staff to make sure there's comprehensive communication through multiple channels so that the information that's coming out is consistent and it's in alignment and it can roll back up to where there's a level of accountability. And so that's, to be clear, colleagues, that's exactly what I'm advocating for, and I'm putting it in the hands of the manager. Commissioner Dunlap.
I just wanted to say, Mr. Chair, that on top of all that we've discussed tonight, there are discussions all across the country with county commission associations where the legislature in many states is trying to eliminate the property tax in the entire state. And I want you to imagine what would happen if the legislature eliminated the property sales tax in Mecklenburg County.
in the state of
What percentage of our budget is it?
At least 68, 70%.
It's at least 60.
60% of our budget
That's right.
could be eliminated. And our legislators are in Raleigh right now discussing eliminating the property sales tax.
And this is, and that, but that speaks to the point, colleagues. The public doesn't know that, and everybody's not tuning into this discussion, and they won't go back and watch it. So we have this information. How long will we sit on it? That's the whole point that I'm trying to convey. We have got to take a proactive posture in pushing the information because we're the ones that get the blowback, right? Raleigh will eliminate it, and guess what? Our residents will come to us and say, why aren't you doing something about it? And they'll ask us for another program. So again, that's the point. So thank you all for raising all of these critical points. This is a discussion that we certainly have to continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Lonnie and team. Appreciate it. And certainly, Mr. Chair, I'd be remiss if I did not lift up our community partners. Similar to the experience we had with the SNAP pause, certainly we would lean on them again. However, we know that is not a long-term sustainable solution, but they always stand prepared to assist us through issues and crises and challenges like this. So I want to call it up. The third and final item on my manager's report, although it's not tied to one of your current priorities, it is relevant to a subject matter that is important to this entire board, and that is housing and homelessness services. I'm going to ask that Dr. Priester come forward and provide an update on the 2025 Charlotte-Mecklenburg State Housing Instability and Homelessness report. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioner Jarrell, Vice Chair Altman, Commissioners, and County Manager Bryant. My name is Mary Ann Priester. I am a Senior Management Analyst in the Department of Community Support Services on the Housing Innovation and Stabilization Services team. I have been the primary author on the State of Housing Instability and Homelessness report for the past 2 years, and I am here presenting to you this evening because we will be releasing our 2025 report on Thursday morning. So I'm going to go over kind of the purpose of the report, if you're not familiar with it, what some of the key findings are that we'll be highlighting and pushing out in the media and via blog, and then kind of tying it all together for you and how it fits into the work that we're doing in Mecklenburg County. So the purpose of the report is really to synthesize national, local, and state data in such a way that it can be consumable to a variety of stakeholders, ranging from elected officials like yourself to the community member who's interested in doing advocacy. And we use data from these various sources to examine the entire housing continuum. So we're not just looking at homelessness, but also housing instability and stable housing, because as you all know, these things are inextricably linked. We present these data to make sure that people who are making decisions about funding or policy or practice understand the scale and the characteristics and the outcomes associated with these different aspects of the continuum and what is needed for us to have positive outcomes in these areas for the residents of Mecklenburg County. So I know at the retreat you were presented with some of the one number data. The one number is the one number we look to as the community to quantify how many people are experiencing homelessness in our community each month. The most recent data we have is from December, and that data showed that at minimum, there were 2,589 people experiencing homelessness in our community. That was 2,109 households. And I just want to say that that word minimum is important, because while the one number is the best way we have to quantify the number of people experiencing homelessness in our community, it's not capturing everyone, right? It's only capturing people that have engaged with our homeless services system. And we know that there are plenty of other people that are out there experiencing homelessness that we haven't captured in this number. Of that 2,589, 659 were people in households with minor children. 63 were in multiple adult households. Our largest population, single adults, was around 1,700. We have 151 unaccompanied youth. So those are youth ages 18 to 24 who are heads of their own household, who are experiencing homelessness in our community, many of them who have aged out of our foster care system here locally, 153 veterans, and then almost a third of the people experiencing homelessness in our community meet the criteria for chronic homelessness. So that means that they have a self-reported disability and they've either been homeless for an entire year or they've been homeless 4 times in 3 years, totaling 12 months. It's a HUD definition, not mine, but that's really important because 1/3 of people experiencing homelessness in our community are extremely vulnerable and will have challenges exiting homelessness without the assistance of a homeless services system. The report that we put out looks at a variety of different timeframes, and that is because the data that we examine does not all exist within the same time frame. We have the county data that follows the county fiscal year. We have the HUD data, which follows the federal fiscal year. We have census data, which is a calendar year. And then, of course, we have school system data, which is that school year. So you will see some variation in the dates of the data that I'm presenting, but what we look at for the one number is the county fiscal year. And when we're talking about our coordinated entry system, the front door to our homeless services system, we're talking about the county fiscal year. So you can see last June in 2024, there were 2,784 people experiencing homelessness in our community. In June of 25, it was roughly 2,400. So a 14% reduction from last June to this June. While we did see that decrease, conversely, what we have seen is kind of an increase in system entry. So an increase in the number of people who are actually entering our system. It's difficult to see up on the screen, but I think you all have it in front of you. We saw a 13% increase in the number of people who presented at coordinated entry at our system's front door from 2024 to 2025. And so what that means is that even though overall we've seen a reduction in homelessness in our community, we have a very high number of people that are seeking assistance because they either are experiencing literal homelessness or they're at imminent risk of losing their housing. Another place where we have seen a lot of increase is in the number of eviction filings and then also in the number of people that are experiencing first-time homelessness. So we had almost a 14% increase in the number of eviction filings from 2024 to 2025. Over 52,000 eviction filings just in 1 year. And of those, 32,000 plus were granted in whole or part. So 66% of the eviction filings were granted and resulted in either someone losing their home or having a negative component to their credit record or having a more challenging time getting future housing. And as we see these evictions increase, we also kind of tangentially see first-time homelessness increase. So we don't have the capacity to say, okay, people that were evicted actually became homeless, and because they became homeless, it was their first time homeless and they entered our system. We're not there yet, though we hope to be one day. But what we did see is that there was an 11% increase in the number of people experiencing first-time homelessness from 24 to 25. So there are roughly 4,000 people who are included in this metric, which includes people that accessed our emergency shelter or our transitional housing. And 3,179, or 71% of them, were experiencing homelessness for the first time. So that is a huge amount of people to be experiencing homelessness for the first time in 1 year within our community. I do think it's important to note that, HUD has HUD's definitions, and first-time homelessness might not mean never homeless. HUD defines first-time homelessness as not experiencing homelessness in the previous 2 years. So it could be that this is people's first experience with homelessness. It could also be that maybe they were housed stably for a little while and then they've re-entered the homeless system. I think that just illustrates that kind of continuum that we discuss here, where people are unstable, they become homeless, they're able to exit the homeless services system, to a permanent housing situation, but due to some other factors that I'll discuss in a minute, they enter housing instability and then homelessness again. So it's very cyclical. Another area where we have seen kind of increasing challenges is in rental cost burden. So there are 50% of renters in Mecklenburg County are experiencing cost burden, and that means that they're spending more than 30% of their income on housing costs. And that is a number that has risen over time, but not in a significant way. But when we look at those data by income level, that is where we see something very concerning happening, right? Like you can look at the top line of the graph and you can see that people that make less than $20,000 a year have been housing cost burden as a standard for years in our community. But starting around 2018 to 2022, we really started to see those middle income groups start to experience housing cost burden. So I'm talking about people that are making between $35,000 and $75,000 a year. You can see up on the screen, people in that $50,000 to $75,000 bracket for one single person, 68% of them are experiencing cost burden in our community. So we are really beginning to see the impact of the disparity between what incomes are in our community and what rents are in our community, and that people cannot afford rent in our community with the wages that they're earning. We also look at rent, low-cost rentals. So low-cost rentals is a rental that is less than $800 a month, which is a very rare thing in Mecklenburg County. But since 2015, we have lost 77% of the low-cost rental stock in our community. It's something like 17,000 units that we've lost since 2015, that the rent was less than $800 a month. And that happens for a lot of reasons. There's redevelopment, there's increased construction costs, there's focus on high-end markets instead of focusing on those low-income housing units that we need. But in 2015, 36% of the rental stock in Mecklenburg County could serve people that needed to pay a rent of less than $800 a month. Right now, we're down to 8% in 2024. So we have very few units, as you'll see as I go forward in the presentation, that can actually serve our most vulnerable people who are making that less than 30% AMI every year. On the other side, you can see what our housing stock looks like. And these are American Community Survey data. This is analysis that is provided to us by the City of Charlotte. If you look in that first column, that 30% AMI and below, you can see that there's a 32,601 unit gap for people making 30% AMI or below. So there's roughly 40,770 renters that fit into that category, and of them, only 20% are able to rent a unit that is affordable to them. And part of that is because there's not units available, right, that can meet their affordability needs. The other piece of that is something called rental mismatch, and if you're not familiar with it, essentially what it is if there's not enough units in somebody's income bracket for something to be affordable, they have to rent up. So they have to pay more than 30% of their income to be able to have housing, because otherwise they wouldn't have housing because there's not an affordable unit. We also have a phenomenon called renting down, and that is when people maybe makes 51 to 80% of AMI, but they have managed to get in a unit that would be affordable to somebody 30% AMI. And there's a variety of reasons that people do that: to be closer to their job, maybe they want to save money to buy a house. There's not anything preventing people that can afford more to have a lower rent, but it has a real impact on our local citizens who make that 30% and below AMI, because I can't see without my glasses up on the screen, but you can see roughly 5,000 people are renting down in this category. So 5,000 units that could be made available to people making 30% AMI or below are actually not available because people that could afford more are renting those lower cost units. And so what happens is when we don't have availability for that lowest income group, that 30% AMI and below, and there's this rental mismatch happening, we start to see mismatch across the entire spectrum of incomes, right? So there's not enough units for people making between 31 and 50 AMI because people are either renting down to get a cheaper rent, or people in that under 30 AMI bracket are having to rent up. And so there's no balance in the amount of units that are available, and we don't have sufficient units to be able to meet the need, which puts our most vulnerable renters, those ones in that 30% AMI bracket, in a very precarious situation to experience housing instability and to be at risk for homelessness. So there's been a lot of local investment in affordable units. Our report looks specifically at housing trust fund data and how that has kind of shaken out over its existence. So since 2002 until 2025, 3,616 units affordable to 30% AMI or below. So even though that is where our greatest need is and that is where our greatest gap is, that is not where we as a community have dedicated resources from the Housing Trust Fund. We have put more money toward those 31 to 50% AMI units when there's a smaller deficit actually in that group in units than there is for 30% AMI and below. So I think what this highlights is, yes, there's been a significant investment. You know, the voters just approved a $100 million bond, and the report outlines how that's all planned to be spent, and hopefully it will result in some additional units for those very low-income citizens in our community. But there has to be kind of some intentionality behind that so that we are providing for those making that 30% AMI and below, so that we can, in turn, have enough rental stock for everyone else in the different income brackets in our community. Okay, CMS data, McKinney-Vento data. This data has some caveats. So first of all, it's for the school year 24-25. 5,680 children were connected to McKinney-Vento services during that year. It's a 4% increase from 23 to 24. Most of those families are doubled up. So McKinney-Vento operates on a little bit of a different definition. Doubled up is not considered homeless by HUD, but it is considered homeless through the McKinney-Vento bill. And what we are seeing is that people who are experiencing homelessness and doubled up, one, they're not able to access our traditional homeless service system resources, right? Because they're largely funded by HUD, who operates by a specific definition. And so we have 5,680 people or children in our community that are experiencing homelessness or housing instability that are often in doubled up situations or living in hotels or motels because there are not resources that are designated that they are eligible for. So they have kind of no choice but to live in these situations because they can't access the other resources, and the federal government does not fill that gap. And then finally, county investment. I'm sure you are all very familiar with how much money the county has invested in activities that address housing, instability, and homelessness. Last year in the 2024 report was the first year that we worked with the county and the city of Charlotte to try to figure out what the actual investment was and what the monies were going to. These dollars actually include federal grant administration, so those entitlement funds, those continuum of care funds that come through our city and county government that we administer. We got data from the county budget, the city budget. This does not include the Housing Trust Fund. You can see up there the FY20 investment roughly between city and county was around $50 million. When you see the report on Thursday, you'll see that we look at 24 and 25. It's not really important what category changed and what value year over year. What is important is that even though we increase the amount of money that we invest in housing instability and homelessness and affordable housing year over year, it is still insufficient to meet the needs that we are being presented with in our community. So, you know, how does it all come together? As I mentioned at the very beginning of the presentation, like it's inextricably linked. So if someone cannot get a unit that is affordable to them, and they have to rent up and pay more than 30% of their income on their rent, then they are going to be rental cost burdened, and that cost burden is going to force them to make difficult choices about medical care, about electric bills, about food, and it's also going to put them at risk for homelessness, and it's going to put them at risk for eviction. And so when people are unstable and they become evicted, they often cycle into our homeless services system, and what that does is then in turn increases strain on the homeless services system, right? I'm sure you've heard in these meetings, we don't have enough shelter capacity to meet the need of people experiencing homelessness in our community. That's often why we have people living out unsheltered, is that there's not really any beds for them to fill, because we always operate, or almost always operate, at 100% capacity at our shelters. So as more people become homeless, there's a strain on the system. There's also not resources or case management services to be able to support them in their exit from homelessness, and so they stay homeless longer. And then there's no affordable housing for them on the back end, so it's very challenging to exit to a permanent situation with or without subsidy, either way, because there's no affordable housing. So affordable housing, as I'm sure you all know, is kind of the linchpin here, right? It's not the only thing we need. Of course, we need to serve people in every aspect of the continuum, but if we had enough affordable units to meet the need of the different income levels, and in particular those people that are extremely low income, then we would make a real impact on what's needed for homeless services and our ability to help people exit our systems more quickly, and our ability to have a community where everyone has access to safe, decent, affordable housing. So kind of in summary, there's persistent pressure across every aspect of the continuum. That's why it's really important that we align prevention, crisis response, housing strategies. That is, I think, the sentiment behind the work of the Continuum of Care and the Home for All effort that's coming under the county. So just really important that we continue to take into consideration every aspect of the continuum and how those interact with each other and impact each other, so that we can make sure that homelessness is rare, brief, and non-recurring in our community, that everyone has access to safe, stable, affordable housing, and that we have kind of equitable and positive outcomes for our entire community. And I think that is it. Questions?
Thank you for the presentation. I'm going to start with the Chair of HHS, work left, so it'll be Commissioner Griffin, Commissioner Leek, and then we'll work down the row and come back around.
I appreciate. Thank you for your presentation. I asked this question. I guess I asked several questions at one time to get my 3 minutes in here about census. Are these folk here long term that find themselves cycling through, having a place, having issues, getting evicted, then moving into homelessness to some degree, or are they coming from like Gaston County that closed, the Salvation Army closed their shelter, and so a lot of people are kind of migrating over. How do you differentiate between those who are coming from other places into our continuing care? Because, you know, we got open arms and people come, and you don't want to turn people away, but it'd be nice to have some sense as to where those folks are coming from, both in terms of families from school, because people are moving here maybe to find a job and then there's no job. But it'd be nice to kind of hear about where folks are coming, how did they get here. That information would be important for me. The other piece, given what we just voted on tonight, average jobs, $177,000 a year, that's pressure on your housing stock, both rental, et cetera. And again, as we talked about, federal legislation or state legislation, we don't have inclusionary zoning. There are a lot of tools in the toolbox we don't have. other than coming right back to government to try to find out how to finance affordable housing units. So I'm just trying to figure out how do we attack this issue other than, helping people get financially better off. But help me, because from 2017, I think the homelessness was like 1,400. And this is 2025 data. If we keep projecting out, we're going to get to 5,000, et cetera. I don't want to get to 5,000. So what can we do, not just the county, but the city, the state? Help me with your vision as here are the things that we could do that would slow that projection down. So, I mean, that's like 1, 2, or 3 different statements. I'm not real sure if you can answer those, but I'd certainly like to get your perspective.
Yeah, thank you for those questions. So I'll start with where are people coming from. We actually ask people at coordinated entry, are you from Mecklenburg County? If you're not from Mecklenburg County, how long have you been here? Do you intend to stay here? Why did you come here? And we've examined and analyzed those data, and it's actually around 17% of people who present at coordinated entry that say that they're coming from another location. And often it is those kind of surrounding areas in the region, right? Like Cabarrus, Union. But we don't see a huge number of people really coming from outside. And the people that we talk to that present at the homeless services system, they don't just get here and call coordinated entry right away. Like, they've been here between 90 days and a year. So they've come here often because of work, because of family, because of relationships, and those things don't work out, and then they find themselves challenged in a homeless situation. So that's kind of part one. Part two, I think it's exactly what we laid out in the slide, right? Like, there has to be strategic alignment between all 3 aspects of the continuum for us to see any measurable reductions and to have more people have access to safe, stable housing. So we can't, just like we can't focus all of our money on affordable housing, because if we have housing, but we don't have shelter to shelter people in while we're trying to build the housing, then we're still going to have a homelessness problem, and we're going to have an even worse unsheltered homelessness problem. So it's just making sure that we're operating in such a way that's considering the unintended consequences on each aspect of the continuum when we're making funding and policy and practice decisions. And I will also add, because I know that our department and the county in general has made a significant effort to really focus on those prevention efforts. So really looking at the best way to target those prevention resources. I wrote a blog about it last week. We have a lot of areas that are high risk and are not very resilient in the times of natural disaster and have a lot of housing instability. Like, how are we using data to better target those prevention resources so that we don't have people become homeless in the first place, and we're able to kind of stabilize them in place before they experience that long-term instability? Did I answer your questions?
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Dr. Priest.
Thank you. Commissioner Leek.
Thank you. I marvel at your spunk to give us this report. It's a sad report. It's devastating to the community. Many of these individuals are mental patients we see on the streets begging, that have nowhere to go, and holding signs that's wrinkled and filthy. And I say to the city council, declare a moratorium, because the infrastructure of Mecklenburg County cannot continue. Every week there are pipes bursting everywhere. Water's everywhere. So we have not met the needs of the growth that we have, and we need to face it. Not the county, but it's the problem of the city, and we need to say that. And we need to push that so that we can get things in order for the people that's going to come to this community. And what it's doing is draining everybody of economics and strength to continue day to day, finding places for people to live. Children are being left alone, and behavior is negative. So how do we say to the city council, you have a responsibility to do a moratorium, because we cannot continue to handle the growth that's coming to Mecklenburg County now and to the city of Charlotte. Am I wrong or am I right?
I think you're more knowledgeable about it than I am.
I didn't hear you.
That's a great answer. Great answer.
Wait, I didn't hear her, doctor. Wait just a minute. Let me cut my hearing aid up. What did you say, my dear?
Oh, I said I think you're probably definitely more knowledgeable about it than I am.
No, you're the expert. So
Not
we
about
need
city
to say
infrastructure.
to the city what the problem is, and that's what's wrong with the politicians today. They don't want to speak truth all the time. They skirt around it and leave it for somebody else to do. But if the reality is told, water pipes are not built in 1935 for 20, 25, 45, or whatever it is. It's a fact. We're not making up anything. So all I'm saying is we need to face reality and face the truth. But we don't want to do that because we don't want to offend anybody. But the problem is here, and the mental health problem started when they closed down the institution 20 years ago. And the Republicans did that. Put these people out on the streets. That's a fact. That's knowledge. So all I'm saying is let's face the facts and do something about it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Meyer.
And this is not negative to, excuse me, sir, but this is not negative for her.
That was the bell, Commissioner.
I'm sorry.
No, it was the bell rang.
Oh,
and
it
we
did.
were
I'm
just
too
moving-
loud.
we were
Maybe I
moving
need to
on.
back off. You don't want to hear the truth anyway.
No, we don't. I don't want to hear the truth.
Not you personally. You know what I mean.
Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you. Thank you for this. This has been a heavy night. We've had some heavy things tonight. We're not going to sleep well. First of all, I want to recognize the awesome team up there who does this. You guys wake up every day and go to work and do this every single day, and it amazes me that you're up there smiling. And Jessica, thank you for being here. And I just really want to give you all the attention in the world because you guys are dealing with this day in and day out. So thank you. So I really don't know what to say. I don't know if there really is anything to say. I can sit here and just kind of preach, but I'm not going to. If you could explain coordinated entry from the beginning to the end, what exactly, tell me exactly what coordinated entry is.
Let's do a brief overview of it.
Well, yeah.
It's beginning to end, so.
Well, okay, just tell me what explain coordinated entry.
Coordinated entry is federally mandated by HUD for communities that receive continuum of care funding. It serves as the front door to the housing and homelessness service response system. People typically present there who are experiencing literal homelessness, which means they are either in a shelter or in a place not meant for habitation. We have implemented in our community, I think now for 2 years, 1 year and a half, prevention at our coordinated entry front door as well. So we have people that show up that are at imminent risk of homelessness, and then we have people that are experiencing homelessness, and there are different pathways for them to engage in to either hopefully prevent their homelessness or get them engaged in shelter services so we can help with their rapid exit from homelessness.
Thank you. And I'm struck by slide 6, the eviction rate, how much is going up, and there are more cases filed than. So if all those cases that are filed but don't get their tenants don't get evicted. Is it? Do you follow the people both who do get evicted and follow the people who don't to watch if they're going to be if there's going to be another case brought against them?
mean, do you follow these people and you kind of know, you're ready for them? This is going to happen.
We do not, because the data that we're currently able to access is called VCAP data, so it's kind of just like aggregate data. When they implemented their new digital system about a year ago, that made it where it was easier to see who was possibly being evicted, could benefit from prevention services or eviction prevention services. But we do not have access to those data. I think legal aid might, and that's something we could follow up with and find out for you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Rodriguez McDowell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I definitely want to echo Commissioner Meyer and what she just said about the team, guys. This tonight really has been a 1-2 punch, these last two presentations. I mean, are you trying to knock us out? Like, couldn't you spread this out over different days or something? This is harsh. It's really harsh, and you guys are dealing with this every day, so I can only imagine the stress that you guys must feel. When I look at slide 7, first slide 6, like, really tore my hair out, and then slide 7 comes along, and I'm like, wow. I mean, this is sharp increases that you mentioned, and you don't have to go to it, but it's the changes over the years of when the folks in the blue and the red lines, which is the 35 to 50,000 and 50,000 to 75,000, it just spikes, and the cost burden. So what you're saying there is that the rents have just spiked so much. Is that what this is telling us, that the rents have spiked and the folks' incomes haven't kept up? Is that the message of that slide?
It is that rent has increased. It's also that we've lost affordable units in our community because we haven't been able to preserve them, or they've been repurposed for more higher-end markets.
Right.
And we have not seen significant wage increases, even among our middle-income residents, in many years.
Right. Well, I really did want to underline that this is why I really always support NOAAs whenever we get the NOAA, projects coming to us. I think that is a good place for our dollars to be invested. Preserving affordable housing is just so critical. And I can't just kind of move on without mentioning the huge difference between what the city has in their budget versus the county's budget. I mean, that's just like a knockout right there. Their investment is $6 million and ours is $42 million. I mean, I know that they have the Housing Trust Fund, which is separate, but when you're talking about your budget, I mean, that is just wildly. I have not seen that number before, so thank you for sharing that. Thank you for the work that you guys do, and I know I only have 5 seconds left, but I just want to say my hat is off to you guys and the work that you do. So thank you for what you guys do. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Commissioner Powell.
Thank you. I agree with a lot of what Commissioner Rodriguez McDowell said. It's first, thank you for your work. I'm also really glad Jessica's here. It says in my telephone, Jessica Hart. Just Jessica Hart. So I'm glad that we are supporting NOAAs, and it's kind of stunning. Do you keep any statistics on towns? Because, I hear from in my district how city-centric they think the board is. Like, they're always saying Charlotte, 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 and forgetting about the towns. And so when I see this, I don't see any town mentioned. Do you keep track of any of that?
So when we look at the census data, we look at it at the county level. I mean, there is opportunity to look at it in a more granular way, and that's something that we can definitely consider for future reports. There is critical home repair data in the report this year from Habitat, and they do serve that North Meck area, so there is a little bit of data about the towns from like how critical home repair was deployed in those areas. But I mean, that's definitely an area for growth, so thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, and I'd like to have recommendations from, do you guys have an advisory council at all?
We have a continuum of care governing board.
So it would just be nice to have a recommendation about how do we protect and preserve 30% and below AMI? Because the fact that, what's that phrase you used? Mismatch?
Mm-hmm. Rental
mismatch. The fact that the mismatch is taking over the 30%, like how do other places protect and preserve that? Because really that needs to be our first priority. So how do we do that better? And I would love to hear recommendations on how to do that. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Dunlap.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, this presentation reminds us how important data is. What I heard you say earlier is that we're spending more money on those units of 50 to 80% or what have you, more than we are those 30% and low, which is where the greatest need is. That ought to ring a bell to some people in this community about where the investment ought to be. NOAA, I think everybody agrees that is something that we need to continually fund. For the community who doesn't know what it is, it's reinvesting in housing stock that is kind of old or dilapidated, and working a deal where when you renovate it so that it's nicer, that they still are paying about that same amount of rent. And so we ought to make more investments in that kind of stuff. You know, this notice of being cost burden and rent burden, we've tried a number of things that we don't really talk a lot about. The subsidy, what is it, Mark? The thing that we're doing nationally, subsidizing homes where their people are cost burden. I can't think of it right now. But we're adding to their income so that they can afford to stay at some of the places that they're staying. But at any rate, I think it's important that we continue to do the research, and knowing the research, make the wise investments with the limited funds that we do have. You know, education, because a lot of people are moving into homes or rentals because it's nicer, but they can't afford to live there. And so those people oftentimes end up going through the system where they're getting evicted. So I don't know what kind of education we need to provide, but people need to know when they make that move that they can afford to do that. The other thing is we ride through the community and we see all these nice apartments and stuff like that, and we ask, well, who's moving there? We heard tonight that people aren't really moving up to the homes that they can afford, which is causing that suppression down at the lower end, which means that people who can't afford those nice places have nowhere to go. Somehow we need to educate our community on how to address those issues. There's so much more to be said about this, but, you know, time is running out. So, but, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Vice Chair Altman.
Thank you. Pulling up slide 9. So the fact that the majority of the need is at 30% and below area median income, I heard it said by numerous city council people some time ago that 30% and below was the county responsibility. So let that just land. If that isn't the case, we need to, Mr. Manager, have clear communication with the city manager, because if that board thinks that 30% and below the county is responsible for, then no wonder if they're not using their $100 million housing bond towards that great need. So I want to have a real clear level set with our partners in the ecosystem about this, because my hope is that they would redirect the majority of their funding towards 30% and below if that's really where the need is most urgent. So I think that's important. The other thing is, sometimes I feel like we just need more money for this priority, and we do. But then I remember the research that staff pulled for me, that the city of Seattle, which is 816,000 people, which is, I guess, roughly the size of the city of Charlotte. Not to say these communities are identical, but I'm trying to benchmark. Whereas we're spending $42 million for the whole county on affordable housing, they invested, just the city of Seattle, $191 million in 2025. So they're like much, much more. I mean, I'm not totally comparing apples to apples, for emergency shelter, transitional housing, rapid rehousing, homelessness prevention, permanent supportive housing. So it sounds like I imagine if we had $191 million, we could do a great job. And yet that's what they've got. And they've got 40,000 people experiencing homelessness annually. And 16,000 people unhoused in a night. And so my concern is, I feel like, if we just had more money, if we could allocate more, we could make a real difference. But then I want to be I have caution, look at this other community that is investing a lot more than us, and they seem to be doing even worse. So I just want to be sure that we are evaluating why if they have more money, they're doing so much worse than we are, so that we don't repeat the mistakes. That is all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I agree with everything my colleagues have said. It's been, these last two presentations have been heavy. A lot of times people ask, you guys are always lifting up your staff, and I think obviously you can see why we're always lifting or trying to lift you guys up and acknowledge your work. So please stand so you can be recognized, team, for what you are doing.
Jessica, too.
Jessica, I feel like you're part of the county staff, right? That's it.
Jessica from the county.
Jessica Hart, thank you. That's your new name, like Karen, right? But thank you for the presentation. It really is sobering, and I don't know how you guys do this on a daily basis. It's just tremendous. You have to have a heart to do it. You have to be called to do it. And obviously all of you all are. And the community owes you a debt of gratitude for that. I do want to speak to this idea of housing. And since I've been on the board, I'm proud of the work that we've done with respect to NOAA's. I think that is really important. And we saw a presentation from LaShonda back in October. And when you looked at the numbers from when we didn't do the 7th and Tryon deal and we had to go to the scattered site housing and stuff like that, that was 652 units that we dispersed across the county. Then when you looked at the Lake Mist and Pepper Tree and all of those other deals that we've done with Mark Etheridge and team, the senior housing that we've done, and then the multifamily. There's like 805 units. We had a total of like 1,300, close to 1,350 units that we have been able to impact since we started the Housing Impact Fund on our side. And I want my colleagues, I just want you all to remember that a lot of those units, while they all fall under this naturally occurring affordable housing, we have a tremendous amount of those that have been set aside for county individuals, right? So kudos to staff, Mr. Manager, for making sure that as we've invested those units and we put aside those, so when we get calls and we need to help, we have those units that are set aside for us based on those investments. But close to 1,300 units by my count in all of those different categories. And then when you fold in our eviction prevention, we hit close to 6,000 individuals that we've helped. So when you look at all the costs plus the wraparound services, that's incorporated in this $42 million package, right? It's just not it's not direct housing units, right? It's a whole wraparound piece, and that's important for us to know. So while that investment is certainly significant, it's still a drop in the bucket based on the need, and so we've got to continue that path. But the efforts are certainly there, and I have to think about, we didn't do what we were doing. What would your graphs and charts look like if we had not moved it the way we've moved, and you guys haven't done the work that you've done? So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Priester, team. Appreciate you all being here. That concludes my manager's report.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
God.
Manager.
Childhood death, teen suicide, come on.
Well, let's end on a positive note. I do want to commend the board for constantly recognizing the staff. This is clearly a labor of love on their part.
Yes.
And they deeply appreciate you all acknowledging the work that they do, whether they're delivering more positive news or challenges that we're dealing with. That does not go unnoticed, so I want to commend you all for that as well.
Thank you. I kind of like the dim lights.
I do too. What happened?
Right.
No, there we go. No, we're good. We're good.
Bring the dim back. Yeah.
There we go.
It's so nice. Like,
All right, let's move on to consent items. Is there a motion to approve those items
So
not
moved.
pulled from consent?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. First item, 25-0677, Park and Greenway Land Donation, Northwest Charlotte, Commissioner Leak.
I pulled consent items and I listened to the news, and the paper said that I had complaints from the staff, not staff, but from the county commissioners, that I was holding up the meetings by asking for county consent items. And I'm not going to stop. Look at what time we stopped the meeting now. We're just getting ready for consent items. So I will continue because my people want to know. The first one is Park and Greenway Land Donation, Northwest Charlotte. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, regarding the two questions we received, how much is the donation? The donation includes 3 separate parcels, non-adjacent in the new development. Altogether, a donation of give or take 17 plus acres. And the 3 parcels are situated between Brookshire Boulevard and Bettysford Road with road frontage along Kelly Road.
Oh, thank you very much. And it's usable. It's usable.
Yes.
Thank you. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Next item, 26-0053, Mecklenburg County and Town of Huntersville, interlocal agreement for veteran services. 2 commissioners pulled this, Commissioner Griffin and Commissioner Leak. We'll start with you, Commissioner Griffin, then we'll go to Commissioner Leak.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You've answered my questions, Mr. Manager, and I really appreciate that. And I just wanted to lift the fact that the data that I received, that the majority of the PACT Act eligible veterans that are non-beneficiaries, meaning they're not receiving anything from the VA, there's a concentration in the northern part of the county and the eastern part of the county. And I think having that office in the north and also looking at services for the eastern part of our county is really important. So those veterans and their families will have access to veterans benefits. So thank you very much for your efforts here. It's an important first step to have an office in Huntersville, but it's also better to make sure that veterans who are eligible for benefits that are not getting benefits right now, somehow or another, find their way for those veteran services. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Lee.
Same issue, and it's written out clearly. So if those of you in your community have questions about veterans, please share this with them. So thank you. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Moved and seconded.
Question, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Dunlap.
Just wanted to point out one thing for those who don't know. This is an issue that we've been working on for for some time now. And we need to thank Commissioner Quarles from the town of Huntersville, who has been pushing this issue for a long time. In fact,
What
I met
issue
with
is
him. I'm sorry.
What issue is that?
The veterans issue in the northern part of our community. In fact, I met with him about 2 years ago, I think, with the town manager, and they were pushing it then. So, Mr. Manager, I just want to thank you for delivering on that, because it took them a while to get it.
Yeah, I have a question,
Sure.
because I was with you in the meeting. How long is his contract?
I will have to get that for you.
That's fine. I just wondered, you know, like, sometimes they're 20 years, sometimes they're 5,
Okay.
and I just wondered.
We can get that for you.
But I think I've only heard positive news, and I really appreciate Commissioner Dunlap and Commissioner Griffin championing this. And Commissioner Jarrell. And
I was
Jarrell.
in meetings about this.
And Jarrell. And Quarles.
Yes,
You know,
for sure.
it took a team.
And I pulled the consent item.
And
So-
Commissioner Leak for
Yes,
pulling.
yes, you did.
Thank you.
It's an
So
interlocal
moved.
agreement, Commissioner Powell.
I heard a voice. Oh,
It's an interlocal agreement, so it goes on. It's between the two governments. So it's an interlocal agreement.
so there's no timeline?
Well, it just continues on until someone wants to terminate it.
Okay.
It also demonstrates the county and our chairman continuing to work with the towns throughout this community to demonstrate that we want a partnership with the towns.
Because there is no Mecklenburg County without the towns.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
To move consent items. So move, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. Next item, 26-0056, Duke Lighting Service Contract, Eastland Park, Commissioner Leak.
I pulled that so the general public will know who's going to pay this bill and why we owe this bill. Duke Lighting Service Contract at Eastland Park. Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman?
That's correct. The county will be responsible for the cost.
The county.
The county.
Thank you. That's excellent. So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. Next item, 26-0057, Construction Contract, Mecklenburg County Courthouse and Detention Center Central Security Transaction Windows Upgrade Project, Commissioner Leak.
I pulled this for the simple reason I had several people to call me and want me to know what's going on as it relates to the detention center. Is this what the youth center they're talking about reopening?
I don't think so.
No,
Well,
it's a refurbishment.
Specific to the questions we received, the upgrade cost is $756,500, and the project is expected to be completed by June of 2027.
But this wouldn't be, Mr. Manager, this isn't the youth detention, this is the jail,
That's
main
correct.
jail.
That's correct.
Main jail.
Jail Central.
Jail Central, thank you.
All right, so people will know that there was money spent by the county for the refurbishing. So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. Next item, 26-0059, Settlement Approval, Mecklenburg Facility Management and Maintenance, Commissioner Leak.
Yes, what, it means just what it asks, settlement. What kind of settlement?
Settlement for the property damage over the Clifton Johnson building for the water damage.
Over next door to us. All right, and how much did that cost us?
Well, the payment to repair is $84,739.67. That's the damage amount.
That's upkeep of the building. Thank you. So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And last item, 26-0075, Green Source Advantage Express Service Agreement, Commissioner Leak.
I don't understand this, so I'm asking my manager to please clarify this.
Yes, Commissioner Lee. This is a follow-up from your board retreat. Duke's Energy's Green Source Advantage Express is a competitive program that provides large business customers an opportunity to apply for a renewable energy subscription that can offset a percentage of our annual electric costs.
So it will save us money?
It will.
Thank you, Bill Malik. So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Last item on the agenda are Commissioner reports. I'll start to my right, Commissioner Powell.
And this didn't take all night either.
Okay. So happy Lunar New Year. Like, today's the year of the fire horse. So I'm going to learn more about that this weekend. And I want to take the time to talk about the cardiac survivor event that I went to for Medic, because I want you guys to hear, like, just a sample of what they have to respond to, because you know I love Medic. So it was cardiac survivors. They resuscitated 300 and brought back to life 302 heart attack patients. They invited them to a survivors reunion on Saturday, and it's a 2-hour reunion. And the survivors got to meet the medic crews that saved them and the firefighters that were part of that. And so there wasn't even enough room for everyone because it was so crowded that the whole room was standing up. I wish I had taken a picture, but it was too emotional. But they have to respond to all kinds of things. And the one story that just sticks with me is this woman was 8.5 months pregnant, and her husband was he had a heart attack in bed in the middle of the night. And she was trying to wake him up, and she had just taken CPR because she had to take it. They really want new moms to have CPR now. So she had taken it like that week. And her first language is Portuguese. So anyway, she did everything. She did the compressions for 12 minutes. She called 911. 911 came, and she was so upset she was speaking in Portuguese. And this is what they come upon, like everything is different. She speaks English, but she couldn't think in English because it was so scary. And anyway, so there was this person there. They had to shock him and bring him back, but he's here, and they were there with their baby. And it's like hard for me to talk about what a miracle it was and how joyful it was. And so he was holding the baby, and she had a little heart outfit on, and it was just like so awesome for all the firefighters and the medic and the professionalism of JP and the crew, and recognizing like the role that every single person plays, from the people that answer 911 onward, and the leadership that was recognizing the excellence was just so outstanding from beginning to end. And then when I was leaving, I met a heart attack survivor who was deaf. And so can you imagine? Like 911, you need help and you're deaf and you're trying to communicate in sign language. And they come upon these different situations and everything is different, like wherever they're responding. And I just tell you that because they're so amazing. You know, like when they used to come to the hospital when I worked in different hospitals, I just knew how amazing they were. I didn't know how many different things they came upon, but I just wanted to tell you like a little bit, because everything is so different, and they go with the mission to help them in the most critical moment, and I love them. So that's all for now, because thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Dunlap.
I just wanted to say thank you to the manager again and to staff for the going away celebration for Dr. Washington. Yeah. It was a great event, and it was just to be able to say thank you to him for all the work that he's done in Mecklenburg County. And I agree with all the comments that I heard. One day we will see him as the Surgeon General of the United States.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Vice Chair Omar.
Thank you. Just want to say, go vote. We actually had a speaker tonight who I met at early voting. They have a concern. It's a legitimate concern. I've shared it with my colleagues. I've shared it with the county attorney. I hope we'll be able to get an answer for them. But that's the kind of access and transparency and responsiveness that I think makes for good government that serves the people. And so it's an honor to serve you. And go vote. Thank you.
Commissioner Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Two observations. One, we talked about communications with the populations that we serve that may be impacted with these different regulations coming down from Washington. I think it's a great opportunity for a civic engagement lesson, because oftentimes people forget how rules are made and how those rules impact them positively or negatively. If we could have a communications program that people can say, hey, look, you know, it's the state of North Carolina. Maybe we should get more involved with the electoral politics to make sure we get the right people to serve us at the state level and vice versa at the national level, because they know us. We hear each and every day. So I think it's just great, a great opportunity for us to do that. The second point, we talked about housing. And Livian, who formerly known as the Charlotte Housing Authority, capped their applications now at 10,000. And Livian is the one of the focal points for affordable housing here in Charlotte. So think about that. They've capped their waiting list, okay? And we're dealing with a real serious issue here that we're going to have to find a resolution. And I think we have the capacity to do that. Susan often talks about what the business community is doing. This board, before I got on the board, commissioned a study in terms of the impact of the private sector buying homes off the market. And the third recommendation, I never forget that, was that the private sector needs to look at the wages that they offer their employees. So let's keep those things in mind. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Leek.
Thank you. I mentioned Jesse Jackson, who was a great movement pusher with Martin Luther King, and he always talked about keep hope alive. He was a civil rights activist, and I don't want us to forget it. He was a presidential candidate in '84 and '88. He talked about international human rights. He had a legacy. And the main thing I say about Jesse, he was consistent, and he was always on time. And I think about a Jim Richardson and a Bob Walton, who served this community, and a Bob Davis, and Miss Anna Hood, who served as president of the Black Political Caucus that I paid $500 for, and a lifetime membership. So I'm saying to this community, don't forget those who have helped us along the way, and not become so embedded with ourselves that we don't help other people. So thank you for being able to serve you. Please vote for the right people at the right time. I love to see my policemen up there. Thank you.
Commissioner Meyer.
No report. My dog needs to get out, so no report.
Sorry.
So that's being real.
Commissioner Rodriguez McDowell.
All right. I just want to say thank you to the hundreds of people who've written to us on the I-77. We're really not the ones that they're writing to, but they're copying us. And I just want to say that I'm not responding to hundreds of people because it really takes a lot of time. But I just want folks to know I have responded to some, and they're the ones who wrote something personal and not just sent the form letter. I think the form letter is very impactful, and I do appreciate the numbers, but I just simply cannot respond to that many. It's just really takes a lot of time. But I do want to thank some people have really put an effort into their letters, and I thank everyone who is engaged enough to even send a letter, because that's something. It's something to get that many people engaged. So I really appreciate the engagement. I just want to say I apologize to all those that I cannot answer. But thank you for paying attention, and thank you for being engaged. And I continue to hope that public engagement makes a difference.
Thank you. Commissioner Meyer, I know I'm between you and your dog, so I'm going to try to make it as quick as possible. But I do want to say, obviously, we are in Black History Month. A lot of us live Black history every month and every day. But today we did lose a legend. And I remember as a young person back in '84, a lot of people point to Reverend Jackson's race of '88, but I remember watching him in '84. And I could tell you when he made his speech at the DNC, it impacted me immensely. At 14 years old, I remember that. And I was glued to the TV listening to him. And it wasn't like I hadn't heard him before, but it was the setting and the context. in which I was listening to him and what he was doing. And it reminds me that there are people that are watching us in this setting, in this context, and that they're thinking about what could be, what can happen. They're thinking about possibilities. And as we lost this legend, this great icon, and not black icon, not African-American legend, an American legend who was impacted more people than just African Americans. He impacted people worldwide. I remember when there was a pilot who was shot down and he was taken captive overseas in the Middle East, and Reverend Jackson was instrumental in getting him home to his family.
That's right.
I could go on and on and on, but I'm just reminded of when people see us and people see us in this context, in this setting, that it is impactful. And so today I want to offer my condolences to the Jackson family and all who knew him and everyone that he was touched by. But I think all of us, if you live in this country, in this day and time, you have been impacted by his work. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
All right.
Ready?